Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
It's a new day, yet a new venue, and a new opportunity for a new driver to take victory, or for a past winner to finally grab a second to match Jack B. Ryan's Dover success. Welcome, race fans, to Pit Stop TV. Joe Donahue joins me on the mic this evening. Corey Rexford is on our social media coverage. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV, and this is Pit Stop TV's live coverage of the L-TAC Cup Series. As we know, you have many options to watch sim racing action. We thank you greatly for choosing Pit Stop TV and tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and/or Twitter. From the oldest state to one of NASCAR's newest speedways, we finally arrive at another similar scene, a familiar scene, a D-shaped trioval, much like that of Chicagoland Speedway weeks ago. That said, Joe, Kansas isn't going to drive like Chicago. It's just very simply not the same racetrack. Drivers have new challenges far and wide to contend with this evening.
Yeah, so obviously Chicagoland and Kansas, they're the same shape, same distance, but one of the big things, if not the biggest thing you're going to notice about the difference in these tracks is the banking in the corners. On top of the backstretch being straight here at Kansas, they're going to have a lot more banking to work with in the corners that should equate to more speed. However, there's going to be some strategy in what line you run because while it's banked, it's progressively banked, so the higher side's going to have more banking than the bottom, and that should play into the strategy throughout the race, and I think that's especially going to show as the runs get longer here at Kansas, that once those tires get older, we'll see people working up the top side of the racetrack. A very different beast to run here for these L-TAC guys.
Yeah, you see the 1.5 mile Kansas Speedway just on the Kansas side of Kansas City. And I was talking to you guys earlier and I was saying how I honestly think the track drives like it's 17 degrees in the bottom, the middle lane, all the way up to the top where it's just suddenly, by the change of a seam, it's just suddenly 20 degrees. I'm not sure exactly what Kansas Speedway did as far as which lane is banked which degree, but it really does drive like the top is just suddenly that 20-degree banking, and I want to illustrate this a little bit if we can. We're going to go on board with a couple of cars here, and I just want to show the difference. So this is on board with Roy Grande as he sails off into turn one. There's a seam. There's actually multiple seams between the grooves, and obviously that would be where the banking changes. But up on that top side, Joe, I'm going to be watching for a lot of these drivers to hook that seam in the corners because on a long run, if you run on the top side, you start to get a little bit tight, you can drop down and drop the left sides on that seam, and it's a lot like when you usually touch the apron at, say, Richmond, for example. It's going to de-wedge the car a little bit, it's going to free the car up, and it's going to do a lot for these drivers if they do get into a long run to work on that seam to help themselves out over the course of tonight's race. That said, it can also really free you up to the point where you end up actually spinning the car out, as Logan Hamilton challenges, or is challenged there with the handling of the race car. It's very easy to get one of these cars sideways, of course, not quite as easy as if we were at Dirt Bristol, but certainly these cars can get into a slide pretty quickly, and it's very hard to recover. You see Logan Hamilton right now drifting the car up out of the corners. He's very clearly having some troubles.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, if you want to try to get that car to rotate a little bit, you can kind of upset the balance of the car yourself by hitting that beam, hitting that berm, and trying to get onto the parts of the track where the banking changes underneath the car, let a little more air underneath, and kind of, like I said, upset the balance of the car. But I mean, you're completely right. I mean, you got to be really careful when you do that, especially at the ending stages of your run. Your tires might be worn out and the car might be getting tight underneath you if your front tires wore out quicker than the fronts or quicker than the rears. But that's so easy to just lose control of the car once the run ends and the tires start getting older and worn out. I think we talk about this most every time you bring a cup car to a racetrack, is just that the size of the tires compared to the weight of these cars is a big challenge to deal with. So it makes some good racing, but at the same time, you absolutely have to be on your toes the whole time you're running that line.
So as we get ready for this evening's festivities, of course, we always check in with our point standings coming into these races, and this is how they look for this evening. Holden McGill still atop the standings, but what's very interesting to me is right there, Joseph only 8 points back now. That's the closest that gap has been since Daytona, maybe Richmond, the first two races on the schedule. Roelveld, he has gained a little bit of ground, but he's still way back. It's suddenly a two-car race atop the point standings. This is very interesting mid-season to have this kind of gap closing in like this. Again, only 8 points now from point leader Holden McGill, who we've been talking about leading the points all the way since back at Daytona, when he didn't win the thing, but he won the first couple of stages. Joseph now suddenly on his coattails. Roelveld still a little ways back, even Logan Hamilton still a little ways back, and you go further back to the top 10, you've got Anthony Massotti in 10th place, 162 points behind. It's something I noticed earlier today when making this points graphic, actually, Joe. Stefan Purcell in the 18th position inside the top 20 is actually exactly as many points behind points leader Holden McGill as he has scored this season. So he has scored 217 points, Stefan Purcell has. He is 217 points behind Holden McGill. That is insane to think about inside of just the top 20, only 9 races in.
Well, and you mentioned Holden McGill up at the top end. I was on that broadcast at Daytona. I recall McGill having that great performance that he didn't quite win the event, but I believe he got second, or he might have done pretty close to that good, but it's pretty cool to see now that at least it's tightening up a little bit at the top end. But I think there is some stratification to the points, and that probably, that plays into who's racing where on the racetrack and how much they're going to push, especially in the midseason. But it is at least cool to see these guys coming out being competitive week in, week out with each other on the track. And it does pay into the points, and I think over time, you let that build, I think those points will get those guys that are maybe more down towards 17th, 18th, 19th, try to even things out a little bit.
I also want to mention, of course, see 12th place, Kevin Franks. He's got an asterisk next to his name, along with McGill, Roelveld, Watchorn, and Arnold. They all have 1. Jack B. Ryan in 7th position of the points now has 2. Now that win, it certainly does a lot for him in the points, but he's still got to work his way up the point standings to keep himself in a position to make the playoffs. Unlike some series, in fact, we covered the Bluegrass iRacing series not so long ago, that did the opposite of what L-TAC is doing. They lock drivers in based on wins, and that's very common now in NASCAR-esque iRacing leagues. That's different here this evening. That's different here this season for the L-TAC Cup Series. You've got to race your way into the top 16 for the points. You can't just do it on wins. You cannot rely on those wins. It's got to come from points over the course of the regular season. So even though you've got those couple of wins, it doesn't suddenly move Jack B. Ryan towards the top of the entire field. No, Holden McGill still leads the way. Joseph right there with him, and Joseph still looking for that first win on the season. It would be big if it came here this evening at the Kansas Speedway. I also want to mention, Joe, we've got several drivers out here this evening taking part in kind of a paint scheme theme, and we'll see a few more of these over the course of the season. But right here we see Colin Stone's machine, the number 43 car, done up in kind of a camo paint job because this is the military theme, and I don't think it's connected to any military holiday or anything like that. Of course, Memorial Day at the end of May, we're not even quite there yet, 2 months away. I think this is just to pay respects, certainly pay homage to the great men and women who serve our country. And we're going to see several paint schemes like this. I'm not exactly sure who all is done up in these colors. Of course, we see Colin Stone is this evening. We'll just have to wait and see who else has military paint schemes on their cars.
Yeah, I have seen Jeremy Berger was running a United States Marine Corps livery as well, car number 97, which is really awesome to see. Obviously, there's a lot of love and respect for all of the men and women, the veterans who are serving in the armed forces. A very important part of America, as we know it, is the people who protect it. And, that hits home personally for me also. My dad was a Marine. He served in the early 80s in the Marine Corps, stationed, all over the country, out in California, down in North Carolina, et cetera, et cetera. And, obviously that's part of our family history, and it means something, not just to me, obviously, but to everybody, that these people, risk their lives to keep us safe. So, to put the car out on track with a little logo on it, compare that to the sacrifices those people made, that's pretty minor. And so it's really awesome for these guys to come out and do that. I think that speaks volumes of the respect that these people have. Well, obviously for each other, but then for, the men and women who serve this country.
Absolutely. It's huge for these drivers to pay their respects this evening. And I actually would not be opposed to seeing more military themes for these races, if you will. Again, there's a few on the schedule. I'm not exactly sure of which one is next. I know Indianapolis over the summer, I think, is meant to be kind of a chrome theme, so that'll be interesting when we take to the 2.5-mile super speedway. Super speedway for NASCAR, it kind of feels like that super speedway, but it's a very interesting speedway, of course, in Speedway, Indiana. But as we get ready for this evening's race, again, we've got a very interesting racetrack here at Kansas. It doesn't drive quite like any other D-shaped oval. The top side is usually relatively dominant. What I've noticed, though, in practice, Joe, doesn't seem that way. We're seeing a lot of drivers down on the bottom side of the racetrack, which is very odd compared to watching Kansas races the last couple of years and partaking in Kansas races the last couple of years here on the iRacing service. I'm very surprised that there's as many cars running the bottom as there are. In fact, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, I think he was trying to run kind of middle bottom. We were on board with Roger Shelton momentarily, who was trying the top side. But I'm noticing a lot of drivers so far this evening working the bottom, which is very, very different, again, compared to what we've seen in years past.
Yeah, I agree completely. I'm pretty caught aback by this, especially considering that banking, and we talked about it being progressive, so the farther up you go, the more speed you'll be able to bring. And I am just surprised, as much as you are, that everybody's running down low. I think, over the course of the runs, you'll probably see that kind of die off, and they'll move up to the top side more and more as they start having less tire underneath them. But it is interesting, and it's the shorter way around, so as long as you can keep the grip down there, you might be able to be faster. But it's been interesting, but we'll see how the strategy goes the whole way through the race.
We're wrapping up practice this evening, a little under 4 minutes to go in this practice session, and while we wait on this practice session to come to a close, of course, a big shout out, a big thank you to our partners here at Pit Stop TV, Tucson Sound Art, Race Pace Setups, Permanent Makeup in Cryowood, Maine, and Whiplash Media. Tucson Sound Art, man, I don't have my camera that I can turn on yet this evening, but if I were to turn it on, I've now got it right above my head. I moved my room around this week, and I simply love the product. I've talked with several people, and actually somebody else from a different league that we cover mentioned to me this week that he was roaming around Scottsdale, Arizona, and came across the manufacturer's store, not Tucson Sound Art, but the manufacturer's store there in Scottsdale. And he was just talking to me about how great of a product it actually was. Once he saw it in person, he was definitely taken aback by how cool it was. And I think he said his mother even grabbed a $300 product. I mean, that is fantastic. And for those $300, he got or she rather, got a massive canvas as well. It wasn't just a kind of dinky little, maybe 4-inch square. No, this was a huge canvas that she got. You certainly get your money's worth at Tucson Sound Art, and you can use promo code PitstopTV to make it even more rather enticing. There we go, that's what I was looking for. 10% off when you use promo code PitstopTV. Now, as far as race pace setups, Joe, I don't think you're partaking in the 12 Hours of Sebring tonight/tomorrow, but we are here at Whiplash Racing, and I think you would be if you could. If anybody's on the fence and you still have time to get a team together, head on over to Race Pace real quick. In fact, I'll throw up their Discord quickly on the bottom right. There you go. You can join their Discord server real quick and still grab a setup. So if you're on the fence because of setup reasons, by all means, you can still get a team together and you can still partake in the iRacing 12 Hours of Sebring. Again, there was a split that went live earlier this evening. There's one that'll go live overnight tonight if you're here in the US, or if you're in Australia, it'll be for the morning for you. And then there are 2 more splits tomorrow. So definitely tons of opportunities still to run the 12 Hours of Sebring, and if you're on the fence because of setup reasons, check these guys out. They can get you handled, mostly in the GT3 categories. Check them out on Discord, again at that Discord link on the bottom right. And as always, big thank yous to Permanent Makeup Cryo in Maine and Whiplash Media. Joe, this practice session, well, it's coming to a close. A little over a minute to go. Colin Stone, Cody Meadows atop the speed charts, and Meadows actually has just recently gotten to second place. Derek Rolleveld was holding on to that spot for a while. Grant Peterson also suddenly up there. I will say, we were talking to Nolan a little while ago, race admin for the series, and he was telling us that this is going to be a day-to-night transition. The track, I think, is cooling down. We're starting to see those speeds pick up.
Yeah, so as the track cools down, it's going to let the guys get a little more grip out of their tires. Hopefully the runs last a little longer and the cars can get a little bit more argy-bargy out there. It is going to be a completely separate thing that these drivers are going to have to keep awareness on and be prepared for, is when the track cools off and it gets a little bit better for racing. Will their cars be able to handle it? Will they be able to handle it as drivers? I'm watching a lot of these guys practice right now, just getting those last couple laps in, ready to go for qualifying and then obviously into the race. And I mean, I see a lot of guys sliding around out there right now, so maybe tire management's going to be interesting, but it is a completely different factor to tire manage in the daytime and the nighttime. So we're going to have to see who's got the skill to deal with that as the night goes on versus starting off the race in the daytime.
You see about 72 degrees in the air, 80 on the racetrack, and decently high winds, sustained about 8 miles an hour. We'll see how that changes over the course of the evening. Getting ready to head into qualifying here, Joe. I don't really know what to expect. I'm waiting to see the lines that these drivers run. I'd imagine the outlap and the first lap should still be on the top side. I'm curious as to where they go on their money lap. If they go to the bottom side and take, of course, most of the length out of this racetrack, or if they opt to stay up top, if they think it's going to be faster. If I was in the driver's seat, I probably would actually go down to the bottom, whether the top side is preferable or not, because on new tires, you'll have the grip to do it. I just don't know that it can be sustained over the course of a run. These drivers will do a whole lot in the way of educating us here in the next couple of moments. We'll see what these drivers do. Grant Peterson getting up to speed.
Yeah, so you see Grant Peterson on your screen. He's going to run high just to get the car ready to go for this qualifying run. That's what we do up here. You run the top side to get your speed up and keep the tires underneath you when you get to the line, that you can set yourself loose and go for your fastest lap. So he's going to go at the top side and stay up there. I'm watching on a separate place and seeing Jeremy Berger ran the high side through 1 and 2. You're going to see Grant Peterson do the same thing here. So that's going to kind of prove that the speed is up top for the moment. You're watching now Taylor Butcher Benjamin running into 3 and 4 kind of in the middle. So a little interesting setup there for Butcher Benjamin. We'll have to await the finish of these laps and see where they come out on the qualifying boards. First couple cars coming past the line just now. I saw Jeremy Berger go through. Colin Stone goes to the top at the moment, the only one to break below 30-second mark on his first lap.
Merrick Watchorn now goes fastest, and he's turned a 29.785. That's actually, wow, that's a tenth and a half faster than anybody else. And he is our most recent Speedway winner, the most recent intermediate winner. He won at Chicagoland Speedway a couple of races ago. Of course, last week at Dover, a bit different, but coming back to a 1.5 mile kind of cookie cutter speedway, it's seeming to go the way of Merrick Watchorn. As Jack B. Ryan goes to the top of the board, goes purple. We'll see what Watchorn can do across the line to complete his qualifying run. Wow, it does not hold up. He goes to second place. He does not quite take pole position.
Not quite. Jack Ryan came through and set that fast lap and then kind of slowed it down there. So I think Ryan's just going to take that first lap and probably think, I can't go much quicker on the second one. Watching Joseph right now, he's still sitting down in 13th on the grid, potentially. There's a lot of guys who haven't come out and gotten their laps in, but Joseph did his first. He's coming around to get his second. Logan Hamilton going down the back straight away to try to better his time, which right now is pretty far down the order as well. He runs the way bottom. Through 3 and 4 is Joseph. Joseph goes to the top side of the leaderboard. Pretty cool stuff to see him go 29.6 right there.
Joseph now fastest in qualifying, second in points. Here's the guy who leads the point standings, though. Holden McGill, first lap, 19th quick. And again, I think I expect that first lap. It's a matter of this second lap around. What can these drivers do on their money lap? I think it's well known at this point. The second lap is the one that's most important to these guys. That's the one where they find their speed. Holden McGill is on that second lap. He's very low into 3. I'm very surprised by that. Sometimes you want to open the wheel up and kind of get that arc into the corner. He takes a very low exit as well, certainly keeping things nice and tidy. And across the line, he goes from 20th to 2nd place. Holden McGill, not quite good for a pole, but he goes to the outside of the front row.
Most everybody I've seen run through their qualifying runs so far has gotten better on the second lap. Jack Ryan was not in that scenario, so I wonder if that 2 car would have been further up the grid had he took that chance to get a second lap in. Ryder Schrauf right now coming through 3 and 4 in car number 58, one of the few cars I see out on the track at the moment. He ran his first lap, bottom of the leaderboard, 21st spot out of 21 cars to turn laps so far. He just comes past the line to get his second one in and does not go better with the 58 machine.
It stays slow. It goes faster. He did go faster. In fact, he went up to a 29.9, but that's still, let's see, a half a tenth off of anybody else in the field. So he goes 21st quick. Again, a half tenth off of Sean Deal, Robert Pattengill, and some more back there deep in the field. 2 cars not qualifying, it looks like, this evening, but will start the race, those being Derek Rolleveld and Richard Springer. And now sometimes leagues do use the lack of being able to qualify as a penalty. I don't recall from Dover. I wasn't there, so I'm not sure if maybe they incurred themselves a penalty at Dover. I'm not exactly sure on that situation, but they are opting not to qualify, it looks like, or being asked not to qualify in some regard. So I think the field has gotten all of their laps in. We're just waiting on these 10 seconds or so to wrap up, and we'll go through your full field here at Kansas Speedway. Joe, thank you so much, of course, for joining me on the booth in the booth this evening. There we go. And Corey Rexford, of course, on our social media. Big thanks to him for always putting in some amazing work on our Facebook and Twitter accounts. And make sure to check out on Facebook and Twitter. And you can even tweet us at pitstop.tv_, and just use hashtag pitstoptv. We love interacting with you guys on social media. Getting straight to the grid, though, Joe, it's time to go through our full field to start today's race. Joseph mentioned it on pole, the 20 and the 21. Holden McGill on the outside. These two are your points leaders. McGill, he has 8 points over Joseph, but Joseph has the best shot that he's had all season long to take that points lead away. It could happen this evening. He could grab his first win on the season this evening. We'll have to wait and see. Starting from the 3rd position, Logan Hamilton at the number 12. He's got the Tucson Sound Art colors aboard that Ford Mustang. Anthony Massotti, he'll roll off from the 4th position. Rolling off 5th place tonight, it's Jack B. Ryan, last week's winner at Dover International Speedway. On the inside of Taylor Butcher Benjamin, a guy who's had some pretty tough luck so far this season and would love nothing more than to win here at Kansas. Brett Fisher rolls off 7th place. Merrick Watchorn, our most recent intermediate winner, he rolls off in 8th. And to complete the top 10, it's Grant Peterson and Colin Stone.
Throw it back to row number 6. Starting on the inside, it's going to be the 46 machine of Cody Meadows, and to his outside will be Barrick Uphold in car number 92. 13th spot on the grid, the number 7 of Roger Shelton, and to his outside, going to be Frank Flores in car number 23. Roll it back to the Daytona winner, Kevin Franks in car number 98, will be starting alongside Stefan Purcell, who's starting 16th spot. Going back to 17th, you got Roy Grande in the number 18 machine. To the outside, it's going to be the 97 U.S. Marine Corps car of Jeremy Berger. And throw it back to the 10th row on the grid. You got Robert Pattengale in the Tucson number 33, and his outside, Sean Deal in car number 44.
Starting from 21st starting position this evening, it's Ryder Schaff in the 58 car with Derek Rolleveld, who did not turn a qualifying lap. He will grid up 22nd position. It's almost caboose. Bit of a lighter field this evening. You see Richard Springer in the 23rd position. He's the final car that is racing this evening. Again, bit of a lighter field. I wonder if that's possibly impacted by Sebring. Again, the first time slot started at 6 o'clock this evening, I do believe, Eastern time, so about 3.5 hours ago. Nolan Rempel, you'll see him on the timing and scoring. He is our race admin. He is not racing this evening. So, Joe, I know it's been a long time, I feel like anyways, that since we've had you on an L-TAC broadcast. I got to ask, though, as the pace car and the field will roll off from the pit lane, who is your way too early pick to win?
Well, yeah, so my first L-TAC broadcast was the Daytona race that these guys ran all that time ago, and I remember a couple of these names being pretty good. I remember Holden McGill. I remember, obviously, race-winning number 98 machine. I remember Butcher Benjamin being up front. Jack Bryan was pretty strong, too. Way too early pick. I think I'm going to go with the expectation that Holden McGill can get something together. Starting on the outside, pretty fast driver in this series. That's my go.
Fair enough. I can't really disagree with that pick. I'm looking around in the starting grid, and I actually think I'm feeling that 49 car. On the outside, row number 2, Anthony Massotti. He's had a couple of good runs so far this season. He's kind of a random dark horse pick. I'm going to watch that 49 car this evening. We'll see how it goes. If Trey Patton was here, I know he'd be picking Joseph from the pole, so I don't want to do Joseph that way because it usually does not work out. As I say that, he blinks out momentarily as we come to take the green flag this evening. The green flag at the Kansas Speedway, waiting on the signal from the starter. Joseph is going to roll off, and he leads us to the green. We're underway at Kansas. Down the back stretch of turn number 3 for the first time. Joseph with the race lead. Here's a challenge already from Logan Hamilton. Down to the bottom side of turns 3 and 4 they go. Already the bottom is king so far on this short run. Leading lap number 1, it's going to be the 20 car, Joseph.
Pit stop TV number 20 car leads the first lap through. Logan Hamilton in second. McGill running third. I'm kind of surprised to see these guys all running down to the bottom side. I would think, running up to the top might preserve those tires a little bit longer, maybe get a longer run out of those Goodyears as you go forward. But these guys, obviously, they went to the bottom, they went to the top, and they're 3 wide, third place into turn number 3.
Riding on board with Grant Peterson on the bottom side, and he's in behind Brett Fisher. How about this 30 car? Suddenly up to 4th spot. A great start to this evening. Joseph still out front. Logan Hamilton second place. 1 car way up high. It's Anthony Massotti as Merrick Watchorn goes purple that time through.
Watchorn pulled the fastest lap, trying to get further up in the field, still in the same spot he started it in. Grant Peterson made a couple spots up from 9th to 6th on that start. The 52 machine he's trying to move up into the top 5. You're riding on board with Massotti, 3 and 4. You can see the glare that these guys are going to have to deal with for a while that sun sets before we obviously get into the nighttime stage and the whole thing just changes up completely for these guys. But 4 laps down, Joseph's been leading the way, but the 97 goes purple on lap 4.
Yeah, how about that glare limiting visibility through 3 and 4? Now, the guys in Bristol, they've got a different visibility issue. These guys, they just got to deal with the sun. Here comes a charge to the outside from Holden McGill. I completely blanked out his name for a moment. Holden McGill, a great run out to the outside, gets on the right rear of Joseph. And if we were on the new Speedway package, that would really limit Joseph's ability. Right here, though, at Kansas, while side drafting is going to make a difference, it's not going to make as much of a difference. It's not going to be your main drafting strategy. I think the top side is just better right now, and that's why you want to get to the top. That's why you want to practice the top here at Kansas. Holden McGill making it work.
Yeah, he's showing right now. That number 21 is showing why the top side's better. I did notice, one thing I saw was Brett Fisher in the car number 30 was hanging on to these guys, and I was going to mention his speed, but he kind of got that car loose in the middle, and it just reminds me, and it should remind all these drivers, you got to be careful with those tires. If you run the bottom, you run aggressively on them at the start, they're just going to fade away so much quicker than your competitors. And, if you run out of tire quicker, obviously you're going to fall back. So Brett Fisher kind of fell a couple spots behind with that scenario, but these guys up the front might want to start thinking about, how am I going to preserve these tires to get a longer run out of them?
You can see the lines clearly forming so far, but I'm very surprised they're staying through the middle line of the racetrack. It seems like the top isn't making a big difference for these drivers just yet. It's not really forcing their hands. They're just wanting to get to the outside of the other drivers on the racetrack. Again, this is really catching me off guard. I thought the top side would be the way to go. It seems like being higher is. Maybe not the top side, though, as Grant Peterson works to the outside of Joseph. That's good for a second spot if he can get it. Merrick Watchorn now enters the fray as we have our first complete lead change at the front of the field. Holden McGill gets clear of that battle for second.
Car number 21 leads past the line again. You've still got Joseph down on the bottom, but it is only a matter of time before Joseph wants to try to slide that car up to the top side and try to work the top while those tires get older. Grant Peterson moved up into second spot, probably be able to pull that off completely down the back straightaway here as you're riding on board with race leader McGill getting a look. Ooh, look down the inside there from Peterson into 3.
Grant looked low, Holden blocked for a moment, but Grant definitely shoved his nose to the inside and said, nope, you're not blocking me, not on lap 8 of 134. These guys do have stages as usual. We'll be going to, oh my gosh, Joseph. That got very close with Logan Hamilton. I thought we were going to have a massive pile up there in turns 1 and 2. That caught me completely off guard. They're driving to the completion of lap 40 for their first stage, then to the completion of lap 80 for stage 2. A block further back, that's the backside of the top 10. These guys are getting very racy. Masadi very, very sideways through 3 and 4.
Pretty impressive that all these guys are running so hard with each other.
Oh, we got a wreck!
There's contact, there's a wreck in the wall. 97 cars in the wall. Yellow flag's going to come out. We got a whole couple cars up out of the front stretch all over the place. Car number 18, there's a bunch of them up there.
Big trouble for a lot of drivers. Jeremy Berger was heavily involved in this. Roy Grande as well. Looks like Richard Springer's got maybe some damage. Oh boy, it started at a turn number 4. We were looking at that group momentarily. I noticed how loose a couple of those guys were. Masadi, I think, was the loosest of them all. And suddenly, big trouble out of the corner. Let's see what happens here for Roy Grande and more out of turn 4. And we're watching that 18 bottom side of the racetrack. He's got the silver numbers. He's to the inside now of the 46 of Meadows, now the 97 of Berger. And yeah, Masadi came down the racetrack. That forced the 97 low. And those two are our biggest cause of caution number 1.
Yeah, both of those guys, Grande and obviously the 97 of Jeremy Berger, they got a lot of damage on those cars. So hopefully they'll be able to get that squared away and be able to at least compete up there. Those are two of those military appreciation machines. Tough break to see those back at the tail of the field, especially having to work the way back up. But hey, part of being a soldier is, trudging forward. Keep your foot in it. Don't give up. And, so this is just kind of one of those moments that, as a driver, you have to be willing to put that behind you and push yourself to keep going, try to get something out of this race still.
Thankfully, it looks like Cody Meadows escaped that situation with minimal damage, if any. The 46, you could see him in all of that, and it looked like he nudged the back end of Berger's machine. I think he got away with no damage. It's hard to tell. We can look from the back end, I guess, of Pattengale's car, and it's tough to say if he's got damage or not. It looks relatively straight on the front end of the 46, so I think I'll call it as I see it, and I think Cody Meadows will be okay in all of this. Up at the front, well, we got pit stops underway, but these two stay out. Colin Stone, Barrick Uphold, Joseph losing the race big time out of pit lane. It's going to be Holden McGill leading the charge out.
Yeah, McGill got out first. Hamilton came with him. Peterson, those are your top 3 out of the pit lane. Just trying to top off on fuel, get themselves ready to continue more laps forward. Kind of early in this race to change out all those tires, so they're just going to get some fuel in those machines and hopefully be able to trudge forward a little bit longer. And maybe we'll either see a green flag or maybe another yellow that'll let these guys all come through and get pit stops. But for the moment, Holden McGill held on to the top spot there with Logan Hamilton just in second. A couple guys obviously not coming through the pit lane, but you got Colin Stone up at the front end as a result.
How about this scene here in Kansas? This is certainly a pretty good-looking racetrack. When you've got the sun setting behind the front stretch, this looks good. I definitely, I think I love both possibilities, realistically, of be it day racing or night racing. I think I love both here at Kansas. Day racing, you've got that kind of just sit back and grind in another intermediate race in NASCAR stock cars, but these night races, when night falls here at Kansas, things just pick up. I don't know what it is. Obviously, the temperature's dropping. Tempers rising, and just the possibility for some great close racing. But just something about Kansas at night, it definitely takes an already pretty good situation and makes it a little bit better. So I'm looking forward to how things go this evening at the Kansas Speedway. So very clearly setting on this racetrack. Colin Stone, you mentioned him staying out under this caution flag. Of course, tire sets are always the forefront of conversation here in the L-TAC Cup Series. They've got 5 sets, though. I'm interested by this move because it's hard to say whether or not the rest of the field will have to come in. I would lean on the side of they will be very, very close on fuel. I don't think they're going to quite make it just yet. I think that's why Colin Stone and Barrick Uphold are staying out for now. I think if they have another opportunity, be it even in just 2 more laps, they might come in, go ahead and get those tires, go ahead and get that fuel at the very least. And, it actually looked like nobody really took tires. I'm actually looking at the pit stop times now, Joe, and I see a lot of 5.9, 6.2, 6.1. It might have been fuel only for the entire field.
Yeah, I had been watching that there. The most, if not everybody, came through and just took fuel. And those times that you see for the pit stops were obviously short because they didn't have to get the crews out there to get those tires switched out. So they were trying to lengthen out the amount of time they run these tires. Obviously, tire strategy, very important here tonight. And just trying to preserve them to have some good rubber for the end of the race. I think that's a very strong mindset to have, very good opportunity to be at the front at the end of the race if you have fresher tires saved, ready to go. So everybody just kind of working with that strategy. Let's save that rubber, let's save those tires, let's get them to the end of the race before we start using them.
Just taking some onboards here as the field gets ready to go racing one more time at the Kansas Speedway, and certainly tons of sights and sounds here in the L-TAC Cup Series. I gotta say, this is one series that I've just come to really look forward to all the time. I will say, these races are a grind. They really often are a big time investment, but I've really come to look forward to all of these races, and my Friday nights, I think, are certainly better for it. We're going to come to the second green flag on the evening, lap 14, coming to lap 15, then of 134, just past a tenth of the way into this 200-mile event. Colin Stone very quick to the rear tires with the throttle pedal. I don't know where I was going with that one, but already look at the 12 car. Logan Hamilton straight to the bottom side, got to the inside there of Barrick Uphold. That's going to be huge for setting the tone for this restart.
I think it's really interesting to watch how the cars are going to work based off of the amount of fuel they've got in them. Obviously, Colin Stone leading the way did not take fuel. Oy vey! Holden McGillen was just getting all over it with Logan Hamilton right there down the back. Thank goodness that they kept those cars under control. But as I was saying, I think it's interesting to watch how the cars run based off of how much fuel's in them, how heavy they are. Obviously, Colin Stone holding on to the top spot right now, but those guys behind him, Logan Hamilton, Holden McGill, they haven't fallen off by any means. They come out of turn number 2 down the back straightaway once again. You've still got Colin Stone up front. Logan Hamilton has pulled into second place. Jack Ryan has moved up to third. So that number 2 car, spinning. Grant Peterson sideways in 3 and 4. Save it? No, back down in front of the field. Yellow's got to come out for this one. We got cars all over the place.
No yellow. There it is. I was going to say no yellow yet. We finally got caution for that.
That definitely was going to ensue a caution. I thought Peterson was going to be able to hold on to that. Obviously, slid up the top of the racetrack and came back down in front of the field. That's what's definitely going to catch out the driver. But he did a lot of work to try to keep that car straight. So props to that. But we'll watch the replay back, and that's definitely going to call for some new tires there. She's riding with Barrick Uphold down the back straightaway. We are right behind car number 52.
Watching on board with the 92 car of Uphold, and in the mess of things, and he was on those old tires, and that just forced him way back on this restart. You saw it all unfold there in 3 and 4, and this is the trouble with running on those seams. I was talking about them earlier on, and this is why I want to watch them through the entire course of the evening. That is going to be the biggest thing that gets these cars loose. The transitions of banking. We'll watch it one more time here. This is just... Yeah, he was already loose there, and he had his left front right on that black mark through the corner of that seam. And it's so hard to catch one of these cars when you get them sideways. They've got tons of side force. They can generally hold themselves pretty decently, yaw into a corner. But they're not set to go sideways. They're not dirt cars. They are not designed to drive that way.
No, not by any means. And certainly, you know, you got to put effort into that car to keep it straight at that point. You're watching the replay back again. I mean, trying so hard to avoid that. And I mean, obviously you mentioned you can't drive a car sideways, but you try your best to get it under control. Peterson did that very well, actually, to get that car under control again. But I mean, that's just part of the game. And, you know, tire strategy, getting those tires to stay underneath you, that's, you know, it's strategy long-term and it's strategy in the moment of just keeping control and keeping some grip under the car.
Under caution flag one more time. We're going to take a step aside. It looks like pit stops not really in the forefront of these drivers' minds. We had a couple of stops from those guys that had stayed out, needed tires. Everybody else now has some new tires. Well, not necessarily tires, but have some new fuel in their race cars. We'll take a step aside momentarily. We'll be right back to you from the Kansas Speedway.
Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
Have you found yourself trying to hide your joy because you're unhappy with your teeth? Your smile is the first feature noticed in an interview, on a date, or in family photos. We want you to be able to shine bright as your best self, and our teeth whitening system is the perfect step toward restoring your confidence. After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Thanks for rejoining us. Well, staying with us here at Pit Stop TV on the far side of that quick little break. Logan Hamilton, your race leader. Jack B. Ryan, second place. And Joe, this restart is going to be very interesting. I think we've got guys that are on all similar situations, all similar pit strategies for sure. I'm not sure that these guys have taken tires just yet, but they have certainly all pitted for fuel at the very least and are going to hope to stretch that fuel so as to not pit again here in this first stage. These tires are good for these 40 laps they're running in stage number 1. But, of course, if you do pit for tires, you will be flying, and you might just get yourself some stage points. We'll see how it all works out. We're coming to the green flag, lap 21, coming to 22 of 134.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. You know, if you get those tires, you might go laps down if they go green flag, you know, and you come into the pits. But you want to get to the end of the stage. If you can get to the end of the stage before you fix up new tires, that would be optimal. So these guys are going to try to run the fuel out as long as they can right now. Just get to the end of the stage where you get a break and you can get those tires. Definitely save them for the end of the race. You know, just try to trudge it out right now.
So Logan Hamilton, again, your race leader behind that brand new iRacing sedan pace car. We'll take a moment to wait on the starter and wait for the green flag to fly. And oh, look at that bit of a jump. Ryan tried to guess the restart, didn't work. The stack up there with Joseph. Masadi on the bottom side could clear a couple of cars. Meadows going backwards, the top side. Definitely not a good restart.
Not super great back there for those guys. Masadi down on the inside of Ryan. They're going to get the run off the bottom side. Actually, that 49 car might be able to put a move on McGill down the back. I think thinking better of it is the right idea. Jack Ryan is the only one staying up at the top side until you go all the way back to the 36 car. Yeah, Ryan, that top side just did not get it all together
Jack B. Ryan, oh my gosh, the aggressive. He just completely body checked the 49 onto the apron out of turn 4. I don't think that favor is going to be appreciated there by Anthony Massotti. And then he almost bumper hooked, and there's a big block thrown down the backstretch. These guys are electric right now. Stage 1 is, oh, there it is. Joseph just completely, oh my gosh. Anthony Massotti the save. Joseph now loose. Oh my gosh, these guys need to chill out a little bit. Oh man.
That was something going into turn number 3. Something. That's a word to use. Massotti did a great job of keeping control of that car, though. Joseph did give him room to allow him to get that car squared away, that we didn't get a yellow flag. So that was nice to see. It did kind of elongate the field here, so maybe that'll help him get through the longer run. But definitely took both of those guys out of contention to move forward in this heat, in this stage itself. They're just going to have to get to the finish of it and try to work up from there.
The front end of the field has been really changed up. No longer really a pack up in the front. They've certainly spread out the top 3, almost the top 5 single file as Watchorn tries to get in front of Meadows and clear him. He'll finally do so. So now the top 5, top 6, all single file up here. But that's not an indication of how they've been racing so far. Cody Meadows in behind Watchorn. Now he'll try a little bit of a higher line. Try to hook that seam right there. I'm sure a little bit higher banking in the middle lane than there is in the bottom. So he's still de-wedging that race car, trying to use the bottom side to his advantage. I think with the temperatures, we're not going to see the true top side come in for a while here. I think on a long run, we might see it come to these drivers, but right now the bottom side is certainly the way to go, which again is backwards from my expectations for this race. I'm very surprised by it. Logan Hamilton, though, still leading up front. Here comes Holden McGill on the top side.
Yeah, I mean, when you get that start of the run, your tires are nice and the track's still warm because it's daytime, and you could expect guys to go down low for a little while, but I agree with Andrew completely. I mean, I would have expected some of these guys to go up to the top right away, try to insert some tires, run some speed up there, and move forward like that. But riding on board with Ryan, who's on the inside right now, he's down on the inside of Watchorn.
Oh my gosh!
Man, that was close.
And Ryan just barely got a little bit tight on the bottom side. He just started pushing mid-corner. He got into the side of the 91, and that was a great save.
Yeah, that is definitely worth noting how the save was, but it shows kind of that these guys running down low, they're going to use those tires up, and the cars are going to even start wanting to go to the top side. So maybe showing what this idea of running the bottom line is doing to these drivers a little bit.
And we don't know necessarily that these are good tires yet. We don't know for sure that these guys took tires on their pit stop some 16 laps ago. Now, the switcheroo there from the 91 Watchorn now to the bottom side. Wow, that was a late aggressive move there. I'm glad Jack B. Ryan was watching his mirror, did not turn down on the 91 car. That could have been dangerous if he had, and thankfully they will keep racing. Cody Meadows solidly in 5th. You see some battling a little further back. Richard Springer in the middle of things. Here's Taylor Butcher-Benjamin as well. Roy Grande, he's still in it. We've got Joseph back here. Bear Gutpold, he's still racing through this. Roger Shelton back here. A lot of guys in this midfield mixing things up.
Yeah, and even these guys are some of those guys we've seen at the top end of the board. I mean, obviously Joseph right there was leading this race at one point. Butcher Benjamin up further at one point as well. These guys are just kind of cycling through positions right now, especially with the small contacts that have gotten some of the cars further back. But it has allowed some of these guys like Roger Shelton we're riding on board with to start shaking it up with some of those people who were faster at the beginning stages of this race. And I think over the course of this race, into the nighttime, it should change who's up at the front and who's further into the midfield. But it is pretty cool to see these guys competing against each other right now in these same cars at this stage in the evening.
Watching the field complete lap number 30. Joseph in some battles back there. I'm noticing currently this 33 car in the middle of this line further back in the field. He's in behind Jeremy Berger, who's in behind Derek Rolleveld. They're in front of Ryder Schrauf, Kevin Franks, Sean Deal, and Frank Flores. And Patton Gill's just kind of riding around back here. He's in the 19th position. These guys just right around that 20th spot. And they're just riding around right now as though Roger Shelton losing the bottom side. Looks like he's pitting.
Yeah, Shelton said something over the radio that I couldn't quite catch down the back straightaway that I think probably was just told the guys he was coming down the pit lane, number 7, unscheduled here. And as he's doing that, he's going to be the sole car to do so. I was watching Logan Hamilton, too, is just checking out on the front end of the leaderboard. I mean, almost a second lead over Holden McGill in second place right now. That 12 car is on a tear and on rails right now.
Of course, we usually talk about the draft helping these guys pack up on these intermediate tracks. I think the dirty air of the draft right now is hurting Holden McGill. I think it's hurting his ability to get up there and close up on the 12 car. And I think certainly with the bottom side being flatter than the top, I think that's going to play into this. I think if they were all up on the top side, that might be a little bit different. You have more banking to lean on, of course. Yeah, they're starting to maybe look like they want to move up a tiny bit, but they're all on the bottom side still. I'm never gonna stop being surprised by this.
I think the longer this run goes, the more surprising it is, because obviously you wear those tires out and you want to move up to the top side, get a little bit more help getting the car through the corners, but they're just still, everybody's just still on the bottom side. I mean, they're just still staying down low, and I think that's going to use up the tires a little bit quicker for these guys, and I'm kind of surprised that nobody's gone up, but at the same time, we are, getting close to 5 laps left in the stage, so you're kind of come in, get some fresh rubber at the end, so you're kind of running out of time to have to be saving it.
And that's exactly why we're looking at this battle. Roy Grande got pulled. They are 10th and 11th. Grande holding on to that last point-paying position here at the end of stage number 1. Uphold wants to take it away.
Yeah, so getting those stage points, I think it shows across the board. Getting stage points as the race progresses is a great way to up your championship work. And, so fighting for that last spot right now, Grande and Uphold are going to be doing a heck of a job to try to get it. It's only 1 point, but it means a lot, and especially considering we've got a couple stages tonight, if you can just get 1 point each time, that's, you can get those 2 points over the competition. So definitely worth a fight, and they're definitely doing so right now.
And if you recall how close a lot of the point battles were going into this evening, this stage is going to be ever important in a lot of those. Here comes Uphold to the inside of Purcell. This is for the 9th position, and that's going to move Purcell back to 10th. Now 11th as Roy Grande powers by on the inside line. Not quite so fast. Grande feeling the, not the benefits, the downsides to the bottom side when you race out of a corner side by side. You just don't have that momentum. The top side prevails, and now Taylor Butcher Benjamin promoted to 11th position.
Yeah, Purcell kind of held those two guys off. Butcher Benjamin in car number 1 back there going to try to catch back up, but the number 57, Stefan Purcell, kind of has a little bit of breathing room right now to try to run a couple more corners, maybe get off of them a little quicker and put more of a gap in between to stay in that position to keep that point. Actually, as I say that, Taylor Butcher Benjamin is getting right on as Schrauf actually, car number 58, got loose out of turn number 4, went into the grass, but I think he's going to be able to get that car under control and will stay green to the finish of this stage.
Watching back from the 57 of Purcell at the number 1 of Taylor Butcher Benjamin. This would be huge just to get that 1 point. If you're Taylor, he's had a very rough season. He's mentioned that to us a couple of times, and he just needs all the points he can get. So even to go up there and grab that 1 point would be huge for the number 1 car. We're coming to the final lap of stage number 1. Up front, it's all Logan Hamilton. No, actually, we've got one more lap before the final lap. It kind of caught me off guard with how far ahead of the field he is. This is huge for Logan. He's got a massive lead. It's growing to almost 2 seconds. It might not sound like a lot, but in today's age, in today's NASCAR Cup Series package, that's huge.
Yeah, I mean, getting confused about how many more laps to go, to Logan, I don't think that matters as much because his car is so far out. I mean, almost 2 seconds a gap in between himself and McGill in second place right now. So no trouble for Logan as long as he just keeps running that bottom line. That's been working pretty consistently for him so far. Pretty easy go, and that car should be first at the end of the stage.
Still watching this battle with Purcell and Butcher Benjamin. Butcher Benjamin to run out of turn 2. Coming to the stripe, though, it's all Logan Hamilton up out of turn number 4. Logan Hamilton is going to win stage number 1 at the Kansas Speedway. Holden McGill, second place. Third goes to Jack B. Ryan. Fourth, Merrick Watchorn. Fifth to Cody Meadows. And here's that battle out of turn 4 for the final points-paying position in the stage. And it goes to Stefan Purcell.
Worth a fight, and Purcell held on to it. So there you see on your screen the stage top 10. They're all going to be getting those bonus points that are ever crucial to championship hopes. Logan Hamilton brought home that stage win. You got Holden McGill, Jack Ryan, some pretty strong points for those guys, as well as Watchorn and Meadows. So pretty good way to start off the night, carry that momentum forward. Maybe guys could use that to their advantage and get the checkered flag.
So as the field comes through to complete the 41st lap of competition under caution, as the Well, the yellow flag flies over stage number 1. That's how they shake out there on the left side of your screen. Hamilton, McGill, Ryan, Watchorn, Meadows, Fisher, Springer, Joseph, Uphold, and Purcell back there. And we talked about the top 2 being separated by just 8 points coming into this evening. Look at that. Holden McGill going to put another, looks like 6 points on that story, on that conversation. So Joseph, not so fast. Looks like he's got a bit of a hill to climb, and it's not going to, well, it looks like it might not happen this evening. Still a whole lot of time to go, a lot of points to be grabbed, but going to be a battle for sure. Logan Hamilton leads the field down to the pit lane. Look at those checkups, everybody kind of accordioning, and hey, you got to play that game. You've got to be as fast as you possibly can be in the pit lane.
Yeah, and it does kind of create a little bit of traffic jam when they come down the pit lane. They try to be quick getting in, and then they have to hit pit lane speeds, and then it kind of boosts them up. But nonetheless, they come down, no trouble, into their pit stalls. The leaders go. Everybody up at the front end gets into their stall. Tires are going to be going on these cars. You'll see them raise up. New tires go on, and then they'll come around. They'll do it again. Up they go. You're seeing Logan Hamilton's side went up on the inside, and down and out they will be charging. Logan Hamilton is going to race off first from pit road. I think Ryan jumped McGill out there too.
So a big first stage win there for Logan Hamilton. We'll move him right on in here, and Joe, will hand it over to you with stage 1 winner.
We'll bring him in. Logan, Joe Donahue with Pit Stop TV. You got a coffee?
Yes, I do.
All right, Logan. Well, you held on to that pretty well. You got out front. And you just kind of charged away with that win.
Yeah, I mean, I ran a lot of laps this week, and I knew that was just going to be the strategy. You gotta get out front here, and you could see it there. Holden was getting so tight with the dirty air that it was just, I really didn't have to fight anything.
Yeah, so you mentioned that dirty air, but also talk about the track conditions. Obviously, it gets a little bit cooler as the night goes on. Did that have any effect on how your car was handling over that stage run?
The car was a lot looser in practice than it was in the race, just because it was hotter in practice. It was almost 13, 14 degrees hotter in practice, so it was a lot looser. And the car was really, it felt good. It was nice, and it was planted. It didn't get loose, didn't really get tight on me until the last 3 or 4 laps. So the track is definitely to where I like it right now.
Well, right on. So is that going to keep your strategy in the same boot, or what's the plan to get stage 2 win maybe?
Just really stay out front, hope the cautions fall our way, and just race smart, and we'll stay out front.
Right on, Logan. Now, we'll let you get ready to go for this, but before we do, to get back to the stage green flag, who do you have to thank for your stage 1 victory? Anything else you want to put out there on the broadcast with?
I want to thank Tucson Sound Art, Robert Patton, Gale, all my B&H teammates, Stephen Parrott, Sean Dio, all those guys. And got my grandpa in the car this weekend for the military race. So shout out to him. I know he's watching this, so bet he'll enjoy that.
Awesome stuff, Logan. Well, hey, good luck, hopefully, and maybe we'll be getting to talk to you again before this race is too far gone.
I hope so. See ya.
There you have your stage 1 winner. Logan Hamilton is going to be able to lead the field back to the green flag again, Andrew, off of the restart, because he won the race off pit road as well. So things looking pretty good for that 12 car.
Absolutely, and he's going to be leading a field of very hungry drivers to the start of stage number 2. Jack B. Ryan, he's on the outside. He's maybe the least hungry of everybody in the field. He's the only driver to win multiple times so far in this 2021 campaign for the L-TAC Cup Series. Holden McGill, he's only got 1 win despite his amazing performances so far in 2021. Merrick Watchorn, I think, in the same boat there. Certainly, Watchorn has been oh so fast many times this season, much like Joseph, who is still winless. Brett Fisher, how about the 30 car on the outside of row number 3? He will come to the green flag for the, 3rd time now, maybe 4th time now, from the 6th position. Richard Springer there in 7th place, Stephen Purcell in 8th, Taylor Butcher-Benjamin 9th, and Grant Peterson will round out our top 10 coming to the start of stage number 2. But it's all this guy up front, all Logan Hamilton. I'm very impressed through this first stage of competition, and we'll see how things change in a stage number 2. 40 laps the distance once more, and of course we're including those laps that came at the caution flag. So we're going to the completion of lap 80 in this one. Logan Hamilton, your race leader, waiting on a signal from the starter to get this race restarted. There they go in the restart zone. We're off and away at Kansas. Up through the gears and down to turn number 3, the field goes. You see the bottom side still king. Hamilton kind of moved up to get an arc into the corner. Jack B. Ryan still right in behind. Holden, McGill, Merrick Watchorn, they're side by side out of 4.
I really liked that move that I saw Hamilton try to just arc it a little bit. That's going to help the amount of speed you can carry through the corner. I think that's very valuable, for the milliseconds you can get out of it. Jack Ryan holding on in second place, car number 2. You're riding on board. A little bit further back, we're watching a side-by-side battle with third and fourth place McGill and the 91 of Watchhorn side-by-side into turn number 3 still.
Here's the nose of the pink number 2 car, Jack B. Ryan. He's just trying to insert himself to a sudden battle for the race lead. He's done a great job of doing so far in this season. He's been the center of a lot of conversation, much like the rest of, I think, this top 5. Logan Hamilton, he's been up there. Holden, McGill, and Watchorn, of course, I think have been favorites most races. Joseph right there with him. McGill, wow, that big crossover down to the bottom side to block that bottom from Watchorn. I don't think Merrick was even too worried about it at first. I think McGill just trying to protect.
Yeah, it seems like McGill and Hamilton down the back that time both got a little bit more aggressive on the protection down the straight than guys they thought they were fighting with there. Ryan and Watchorn both kind of just held on and were getting some speed, but not coming on too strong, and they both kind of reacted quickly. I think that's showing, especially for Logan Hamilton. I mean, he talked about it in the break. Getting that clean air is very important right now for that 12 machine, and I'm sure it's valuable for a lot of other guys too. Oh, Jack Ryan tried to poke his nose a little bit there in the corner. Didn't quite go, but they got close to contact.
See the front of the field, relatively single file as McGill kind of looks to the outside. I think that's just staggering so he can see up to the 12 car of Hamilton. You see him bobbing and weaving, trying to figure out if maybe the door is opening enough to stick his nose underneath the 2 car of Ryan. It didn't quite work, and now McGill very tight through 1 and 2, losing a lot of time here to Merrick Watchorn, and Watchorn down to the bottom side. I saw that one coming from a mile away. Couldn't quite hold the bottom, though. I think that bottom side is starting to get a bit warm, starting to go away. Are we going to start to see this top side open up?
The top side, I'm surprised it hasn't opened up yet. I mean, I know we just keep talking about this throughout this broadcast, but it's just so surprising. As you see the 6 car now sliding up to the top, so Springer is going to at least now run the middle out of the corner, but I was hoping he'd at least get up to the top side and kind of show what the strength is up top. One of the things that you can see is just nobody's going up there, so we don't really know to the full extent what the top side's capable of yet. And especially with the older tires, everybody's going to try to, be a little more adventurous. But for the moment, things are running pretty smooth on the bottom side, so they're not going to. But we really haven't seen quite what's capable of the top side yet.
McGill getting usurped on the bottom side. Watchorn challenging on that white line, and they will stay side by side down the back stretch of turn number 1 once more. And Watchorn still just trying to clear McGill. He'll finally do so there in 3, and that will sort out the battle for the 3rd position. Logan Hamilton still leading the way, but now there's a side by side with Brett Fisher, Brett Fisher and Jeremy Berger, as Fisher was blocking all the way down to the grass there. Berger is not relenting, so close in 1 and 2.
Jeremy Berger's been having to fight that U.S. Marine Corps car back up to the front and got involved in a caution early in this race. The 97 just slowly working on moving up to the front. That's just kind of the Marine Corps way. Just keep on trudging. Doing so, he's trying to get around Brett Fisher out of turn number 4, see if he can get a little bit of a run on that NOS Energy machine. Not going to happen this time, but hey, down but not out, and there's plenty of time left in this race to try to move forward, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that 97 machine. We've got plenty of cars to pass right in front of him.
Colin Stone, oh my gosh, as Grant Peterson gets tight on the bottom side of 1 and 2. Colin Stone's working his way up. In fact, he looks to the inside of Peterson. Peterson blocks. And maybe 3 wide. They thought about it for a moment as Colin Stone maybe thought about taking to the middle between Fisher and Peterson, and thankfully decided not to. The 43 working the bottom side now with Brett Fisher. And alongside of the 30 car into turn number 1, he will go. I'm just not so sure about this bottom as, wow, Fisher really down to the door, and oh, contact!
That was contact twice right there. Berger evasively goes to the bottom side, but Fisher made contact with Stone. They hit a little bit in the middle of 1 and 2. And they came back together.
My.
Yeah, that scared me too there with Cody Meadows slicing right across Jeremy Berger too.
These guys are certainly exciting this evening. Brett Fisher, I think, was just defending way too hard. Still in stage number 2. And it's not even coming to the completion of stage number 2. I think you got to give these guys, you got to give if you want to be able to take. That's how give and take works. And I just don't see a whole lot of give so far this evening. It's awesome. It's great to commentate on, but man, these guys are really, really testing our words. They're raising our blood pressure. There we go. They're testing our ability to not get too excited up here. This is getting very, very interesting.
Yeah, and another part of that I think to mention is how close this racing is. I mean, they're not getting into contact too much. I mean, we have had yellows, and you know, if you race so close over a long period of time, statistically speaking, you'll probably get another one. But there's been a lot of really close action out on the track these last couple laps since the start of stage 2 that hasn't resulted in any big incidents, and that's pretty respectful and cool to see that these guys are putting it together, giving us a good show, but also keeping good control of their race cars.
What I'm noticing that Logan Hamilton is doing, and maybe a bit of a mistake so far, is he's giving that inside line. He's leaving a little bit of air down the bottom side. Now he kind of changes things up, and he enters a little bit lower, but he's still, on exit, he's leaving a very small gap on the bottom side. And what that's doing is allowing Jack B. Ryan to run the very bottom side of the racetrack and put air on his left front. And it's helping that car turn. It's helping hold that car in the banking. And that's very important. If you're going to lead here, you've got to make sure that you take air from the left front of that driver behind you. It seems like it's working for him on entry right now, but a couple of laps ago, and here he goes, leaving the door open again. And you can see Jack B. Ryan really hook the bottom side when he does that.
Yeah, so when Ryan gets that opportunity, I mean, you can see that Ryan's not super close, so maybe Logan Hamilton isn't as worried about it. This time through, Logan did a little better on entry, but, you know, like you said, Andrew, just kind of slid up a little bit and let some of that left front get clean air on Jack Ryan's car. I mean, if anybody, Logan Hamilton certainly should know clean air is doing wonders for these cars, and he said that himself, that his car runs very well with that fresh air. So Jack Ryan having that opportunity, I mean, I don't know what Logan's thinking, giving him that space.
And you can see it work that time through once more. Jack B. Ryan just is able to get his nose on the left side of the 12 car of Logan Hamilton, and even if it doesn't help him close the gap, it's helping him hold the gap, rather. It's helping him not lose too much time, not lose the amount of time that he would otherwise if he was just tucked up underneath the back end of the 12 car. And that's oh so important because he's helping change the balance of the race car. Now he's taking a bit more of an arc into the corner, and he's starting to fall back, so it's not as big of a deal. But it was helping him hold it. He was helping him stay there, and I think that's going to be important for Jack B. Ryan to make note of. Hopefully he does for later in the race, because that changes the balance of the race car a little bit. It puts air specifically on the left side of the car, and of course, if you want the car to turn, you need that grip on the left side because, well, drag, I think. If you were to think about it in drag terms, if you're pushing on just one side of an object, right, that one side is going to turn. So if you're pushing all of that air, all of that clean air on the left side of that car, it's helping the left side of the car create drag and hook the car in the corner. And that's why when you're following somebody, you want to try and stay to the left in the corners. It just helps turn the car a little bit, and it goes a long way over the course of a run.
Yeah, you know, resident engineer, I could explain that to you in terms of physics, but Andrew did an excellent job of doing so, so I'll save everybody that.
A bit more layman's terms.
Hey, it might have been a little bit simpler than the equations I could have pulled out of my pocket, but I'm sure that would be going over a lot of guys' heads. So, hey, good stuff there. I'm pretty impressed by that explanation, actually. That was a really cool thing to get out of you there, Andrew. We'll throw it back onto the racetrack. You're watching a couple guys out there, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, Springer, Grant Peterson. These guys kind of running in 5th, 6th, 7th area on the track right now. So they're trying to trek forward. We're just past halfway in stage 2. Trying to stay in good position to get some points out of stage number 2 to charge to the finish. But for the time being, you actually see Springer went up to the top side there in 1 and 2.
And I'm looking at our YouTube chat, and even the guy who builds these setups for these drivers is very surprised by the fact that everybody's opting to stay on that white line. I want to say Kyle Souza, he can correct me if I'm wrong. But Mr. Souza out in the chat, he is very surprised that they're all opting to go to the bottom. But right here, Richard Springer starting to work the top. And Grant Peterson is following a little bit. He's kind of hesitant. He's arcing it over the course of the corner and kind of driving a straighter line out. You see that on some short tracks like Richmond, for example. Denny Hamlin, I think, is pretty famous for making the comment that you want to try an apex a little bit early and a little bit higher up the racetrack, and then arc down and get a second apex in the corner and drive straight up out of the corner and make that straightaway a little bit longer. And certainly I think doing that is going to help you, of course, minimize friction. And if you open the wheel up a little bit sooner because you drive it straighter out of the corner, you are then reducing friction and you're helping yourself go a lot faster down the straightaway. Also, it's Jeff Souza. I'm very sorry. I know there's a Kyle Souza out there. There's a Jeff Souza now. There's a lot of Souzas around, but we certainly want to thank Tucson Media for helping these guys out, getting these guys custom setups to just help the balance of these race cars.
Andrew, you're out here talking about friction too. My physics teachers would be so proud and impressed with you tonight, just keeping all of this involved. It's a lot of really great points about how cars handle. I mean, people watch racing and obviously you understand that there's physics and whatnot going on, but you don't really talk about it and think about it as much. And maybe out here in the chat, watching this Pit Stop TV broadcast, maybe you learned something here on a Friday night. Who knows? Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But it's not something that the guys who work on the setups and work on the cars are surprised by the way that things are going on the track. Just as much as we've been all night, that we're still staying low. Some of the guys starting to go up to the top side to try to see what's going on up there. I think we talked about it earlier too. The long runs might be where guys start venturing to the top side and find extra grip with the older tires, and I think that's showing with Richard Springer especially right now.
And this is the longest run I think we've had so far. Springer a little bit loose. Saw his hands come back to the right a little bit. He's a bit free up on that top side. There is more banking, so that would stand to reason that it could get him a little bit more sideways, especially depending on how he hooked that seam. I was talking about the seam earlier on, and that's the division of the two levels of banking. Of course, Kansas is progressively banked, and there's even that small seam up top. I'm not sure if that seam is banked even more. I'll be entirely honest. I've not gone and examined the pavement here at Kansas Speedway, so I'm not entirely certain, but that could be it as well. That seam could be helping those guys. Even the top seam could be helping get these guys turned. Oh, very loose.
Springer got in the wall there a little bit. I did notice that when he came through 3 and 4 that previous time and got a little bit squirrely out the tail, he was getting close to those berms, and I think he got over some of that aggressive banking on the lines. I think that did upset his car when he came 2 laps ago, but obviously, I mean, he's not phased by it. He's staying up there. He's still trying to trek on, and a lot of props to that. I think you can get a little bit
pitting.
As there's going to be the first car coming down the pit lane. 52 machine brings it down. A couple guys actually came in front and behind as well.
Logan Hamilton leads this first group of drivers down the pit lane, so they do have to pit for fuel. You know what? With all this conversation about friction and aero and such, I'd completely forgotten about the strategy here, and these guys are pitting at about 30, I guess 28-ish laps into their run, 27 laps or so into their run. Logan Hamilton down the pit lane, I mentioned that. Brett Fisher, he's in as well. Watchorn, Peterson, Stone, Flores, they're all in the pit lane. Looks like Berger as well, Ryder Schrauf even. A lot of drivers that first time through, and it looks like only one taker the second time by, Richard Springer.
Yeah, and there's only one taker sitting down on the pit lane taking tires. Everybody else just getting fuel, getting ready to get to the end of this stage. Less than 10 laps to get there, so obviously, if you're going to run less than 10 laps on a set of tires, why not just rock it out to the end? 4 cars coming through. Jeremy Berger coming out onto the racetrack. Once again, you're watching with that U.S. Marine Corps number 97 as he rejoins the back straightaway. Jack Ryan still up at the front end scoring wise. Joseph now jumps there as he goes into the pit lane. That number 2 machine going to come down and try to get ready to trek out to the finish of this stage. Joseph and Taylor Butcher Benjamin left out at first and second, pretty close to each other on track.
AOD all pitted together. That makes sense. They're all teammates. Watching for Joseph, I'm sure to pit this time through. Butcher Benjamin all over the back end of that 20 car. It's going to be tough to pit, though, if they aren't pitting together, and they will come in together. Joseph along with the 1 car here of Taylor Butcher Benjamin. They'll come in at the same time. Kevin Frank's then the only car yet to pit, and he will do so this time by. You see how hard it is to get down to speed. I think he overslowed a little bit, though, so our Daytona winner maybe wants to go practice some more pit entries. I'm not trying to be too mean to you there, Kevin, but that was a bit of a slow entry, and I think that's going to cost him a little bit of time. That's so important. We don't talk about it all that often because we don't always get an opportunity to do so, Joe. But it is so important on these bigger racetracks to practice pit entry because of how fast you're going and how quickly you've got to get down to pit road speed and how late you've got to do it without losing any time.
Yeah, that is absolutely crucial, getting in and out. I mean, they talk about your pit in laps and your out laps every time you go to a racetrack, and that's very important indeed. So that's something you got to work on if you want to avoid losing a lot of time in a place where you're going kind of slow. I was kind of expecting Joseph to win the race off pit road, but he actually got beat out by Butcher Benjamin. Those guys kind of got eaten up by some of the guys who pitted earlier, which, you know, you run later to try to fuel less and get to the end of the stage. So running an extra lap or two will allow you to put less fuel in the car and sit still less time. So you should be able to catch up. But those guys, obviously, they got ate up a little bit by some other people. Logan Hamilton got back out front of this race.
And this pit stop is within the final 10 laps of stage number 2, so we see very few takers for tires. One of those, though, it looks like right sides only possibly for Jeremy Berger. He was in the pit lane for about 10 seconds. Now, that could have been damage as well, but I know you had mentioned earlier on that there was one taker on tires, and by the balance of that race car right now, he definitely did take 2, I think. He's got those right sides with a lot of grip, the left side's not so much. It gets the car very free. If you can hold it, it's certainly pretty gratifying to do so. You make up a lot of time that way if you can hold it, but it's so loose. It's so tough to hold it. Of course, Loose is fast, and he goes around the outside of Derek Rolleveld. Richard Springer also took tires. I believe he took 4 based on his pit stop time. Roy Grande as well. So this is spicing up the conversation for the final points here in stage number 2. Rolleveld just got passed for 10th, and Jeremy Berger all over the outside wall. I think Rolleveld will be taking that spot back.
Yeah, so that was definitely not what Berger needed. He got those fresher tires to try to have more speed than everybody else on track, and then was running into the wall, going to put some damage on the car. That's not what he needed at all. He got the 6 car coming on strong, though. Watch out for Springer. He's got speed with those fresh tires. Kind of an interesting strategy. I don't know how I feel about putting the new tires on, but definitely going to get Springer some spots coming from the checkered flag of stage 2. So short-term gain, but it's the long-term. We'll have to wait and see.
It was actually short-term loss so far. He's only got 3 laps to get back up to Peterson where he was, and even so, that is no net gain. That's just breaking evens. We'll see how that works out for Peterson. Further back, it looks like McGill's just been passed up by Joseph. These two battling for 5th and 6th on the racetrack, and these are your 2-point leaders in the L-TAC Cup Series. So this is very important. This is for Joseph to start making some inroads then on that deficit. It's grown to about 14 points or so unofficially after stage number 1, but Joseph trying to close it back up.
Yeah, and I know Joseph's going to be thinking about that. I mean, you can just slowly trek into a gap in points with the stages. That's kind of what they're based on and what they're made for. So for the time being, Joseph's going to be watching that mirror, try to make sure that he can get the 20 car to the line first. We're coming around now. Logan Hamilton's going to have one more time around to get another stage win tonight, and so Joseph's going to have the same deal as you're watching on your screen. Richard Springer trying to go around the outside of Colin Stone. He's going to get that done and use this last lap to get further into the points for this stage finish.
Well, he's going to break even, it looks like. He's certainly going to pass Peterson, but I doubt he gets up to hold McGill. He's got about 2 seconds to do so. Logan Hamilton, out of the final couple of corners, is once again going to be a stage winner here at the Kansas Speedway, sweeping the first 2 stages of the evening. Merrick Watchmore in second place, Jack B. Ryan, then Taylor Butcher Benjamin, and Richard Springer just breaks even, and that is a set of tires gone. So I hope he's got a backup strategy then, an auxiliary strategy for the number 6 car, because that is one set of tires done and dusted for the Valvoline 6. Logan Hamilton in the Tucson Sound Art Ford Mustang, a stage winner once more. That's 10 more points for the 12 car. That is going to be incredibly important as the season goes on. Again, Watchmore in second, then Ryan, Butcher Benjamin 4th. How about that for Taylor Butcher Benjamin to get up into the top 5 and to get some points here in stage number 2. Then Joseph over Holden McGill, Richard Springer 7th, Grant Peterson 8th, Colin Stone 9th. How about that comeback for the 43 car, and Cody Meadows hangs on to 10th.
I think if you want to talk about Logan Hamilton getting points, you got to mention, 4th place coming into this event was 20 points behind Rolleveld for 3rd, and obviously 2 stage wins is 20 points. So, if this trend continues, Logan Hamilton could start trekking much closer to McGill and Joseph up the top end. I think this is really showing Logan Hamilton brought the A game tonight to try to see if he could cut into that lead and maybe get the 12 car into the equation at the top end of the leaderboard.
And I do believe he's actually passed then, Rolleveld, because Rolleveld did not get stage points in stage 1. So I believe via... let's see. Sorry, I was looking at a message from Race Control. We'll get to that in a moment. But I believe via bonus points, Logan Hamilton has so far passed Derek Rolleveld for that points position. I want to say that was, for 4th or 5th, 6th, something like that. We'll revisit that in a moment. But that's big then for Logan Hamilton. The message from Race Control was that the 7 of Roger Shelton is getting a drive-through penalty here under this yellow flag, and of course he'll have to serve that under green flag conditions for pitting under green after pit road was closed. Now, once you get to 2 laps to go in these stages, pit road closes, red lights are on, you cannot pit. And he did pit right there at the end of stage number 2. There are strategy reasons behind that. If you pit right at the end, well, you don't have to pit under caution, you just go to the front of the field. So that is why he will have to serve that drive-through penalty, and we saw him exiting right there as we took the checkers. So Roger Shelton will have to serve a drive-through penalty. Logan Hamilton, he is going to exit, still your race leader, so you know what? We will move back to the 91 car of Merrick Watchorn. We'll talk to him as he finished 2nd place in stage number 2.
Bring in Mr. Merrick Watchorn, and we'll see what the 91 car has to say about the run to get forward in this one. Merrick, this is Joe Donahue, Pit Stop TV. You got a copy?
Got a copy.
Well, you charged forward slowly but surely, kind of been having a quiet run, staying close to the top 5, in the top 5 for this race so far.
Yeah, no, strategy is just kind of stay up front. It's like a chess match out here. You're really setting up the next guy to get the next position, and you're really just trying to focus on where you need to be at to hold the position and hopefully get up to the front. I mean, it feels like a Dega race.
And you mentioned that chess game. How much of that strategy is based off of the track conditions? Obviously, we're kind of into the nighttime, so the track should be fairly constant from here on, but it was changing a lot in the early stages of this race.
Yeah, that's been a major factor because we started finally getting some grip. When the sun was kind of out, we were a little bit loose coming off 3, which kind of made it better. But now we're all a little bit more tighter on going into 3. So hopefully we can bring this down, and I'll be talking to y'all real soon about winning this race.
Yeah, absolutely. So is that the strategy? What's going to be the moves for you to try to get that 91 car to the top step by the end of the checkered flag?
Figure out a way to get around Logan and do what he's been doing, because that fresh air seems to be definitely important up front.
Absolutely. So before we let you go, Merrick, real quick, if you got anybody you want to thank or anything you want to throw out on the broadcast, we'll give you the floor.
I want to thank out to my friends and my family and all of them, and shout out to all the people, and hope to talk to you all soon.
Absolutely, Logan. Well, Merrick, well, good luck, go yard, and hopefully we'll be talking to you then.
10-4.
And that's Merrick Watchorn. Again, taking 2nd place in stage number 2, the number 91 from RCS Racing, looking very fast so far this evening as he gets down there and rejoins his team. Taking 2nd place there in that stage is huge. That's 9 points for that driver in championship points. That's big. It's not just points that are conditional, like playoff points in the NASCAR Cup Series. Those are championship points when it comes down to it. Granted, they're not going to directly affect the actual championship way down in race 29, all that directly, but they will move him a whole lot closer to staying in this playoff fight and fighting for then a championship when we get down to Darlington Raceway at the end of the season. That's big, actually. I do want to correct myself, or maybe check myself. I believe we're going to Darlington to wrap this thing up, and I'll double check it. And yes, Darlington will be the final race. It's going to be wild finishing things up at Darlington way down in August for the L-TAC Cup Series. Very much looking forward to that. We'll come to the green flag here, lap 85. Coming to lap 86, we've got just under, it looks like 50 laps to go. And the green flag flies. I want to correct myself. Just under, 50 laps or so to go. Green flag back out, and Hamilton takes us to turn 1. The turn number 3, Hamilton still leads. Ryan, Watchorn, they're side by side in the corner. Ryan controlling that top, the bottom side rather for now, and he's going to take that spot away. Butcher Benjamin hanging on to 4th place. He's still in the top 5.
Taylor holding on pretty strong right there. You saw those guys try to run out the ending of stage number 2 and get a little bit further into the run before coming into the pit lane. Obviously, that gave them some time on the racetrack that they are now fighting up inside the top 5. Good for them. They're up there charging on with the rest of these guys as there's maybe a fight for the lead getting squirrely and ready to go. Jack Ryan was looking a little bit wholly close to the rear bumper as he through 3 and 4.
And a little bit of contact on the front stretch. They keep it straight, but you saw that bump there from Ryan to Hamilton. Brett Fisher goes purple that lap, and Watchorn is in behind all of this. Watching all of this, he might want to back out a little bit, give himself a bit of a gap, some reaction time, as Logan Hamilton going to defend Ryan up top. All the blocks on the back stretch. Oh my gosh.
They are all over the back straightaway. Thank goodness it's that wide that they can get all the way up and all the way down like that. Hamilton holding on still. Ryan still putting pressure on. Car number 2 in 2nd place. Watchorn still peaking. I'd be kind of cautious about that down the inside looking.
Oh, no!
No!
The save! Whoa!
Wow. Logan Hamilton absolutely just, I don't even know what to say about that. That was a heck of a save. Well done by Logan, but that's a big setback.
That was incredible. And you know what? Kids watching this one, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, I love Jack B. Ryan, but that's why you do not play with the apron like that. That's why you do not drive down to the bottom side going into the corner. You can do it out of the corner, whatever. If you're declared down there by the start-finish line, that's fine. But that's why you do not enter the apron like that going into the corner. That driver does not have to let you back up, and Jack B. Ryan has forced his way onto the racetrack. It's really unfortunate. I hate to take that kind of stance against Jack B. Ryan, but that's why you do not do that.
Well, I mean, you just kind of have to be smart and, think about the consequences of what you're doing out there. And obviously, Ryan's got the race lead right now, although Watchorn is trying to slowly peek his way up there. Joseph also trying to get close and maybe see if they can get around that 2 car, but that just sent Logan Hamilton to the 11th spot. He was back in 12th, but he got one pass in and might be able to do another one. But yeah, I mean, that's just not even, you got to be sportsman-like and you have to be smart about your car. Try to get it to the end of the race because that could have very well gone very wrong for both of them. Could have ended Jack Ryan.
It could have ended Jack Ryan's day, could have ended, more importantly, Logan Hamilton's day, could have ended a lot of other drivers' days, as Merrick Watchorn now going to challenge to the top side of Jack B. Ryan. He was right on the right rear for a moment. Now he'll try the bottom side out of the corner. A big block thrown onto the apron. Guys, you can't do that. Thankfully, Ryan lets Watchorn up to the racetrack. Man, they're playing with fire.
They are getting aggressive. I think they're getting a little comfy with the cars right now, handling pretty well. The nighttime track's cooled off, tires are nice and fresh, still from that restart off the stage. And Joseph now catching up to making this a 3-car battle for the race lead. But as comfortable as you get, that's when you let your guard down. That's when things start happening that you don't really want to see. McGill wiggle a little bit out of turn 2 there, got me nervous.
There's so much going on each trip down the backstretch. You set so many runs up out of turn number 2, side by side here for the race lead. It's not relenting as Watchorn kind of pushed Ryan up the racetrack a little bit, then arcs down to the bottom side, the apron, right down to the grass, and Watchorn led that lap by just the slimmest of margins, and Jack B. Ryan is staying right there with him. This is great racing, but man, these guys have got to be careful.
All night long, we more or less had a single file run at the top end of the field, with Logan Hamilton leading the way for so long. But now these guys are double file, letting this whole group stack up. As I'm mentioning, it's letting these guys stay close together right now. Logan Hamilton fell back, and now he's in 10th spot. He's still in this group, so there's a lot of cars in a small area right now, and they're racing pretty hard, so you just got to really be careful.
Hey, nighttime is the right time. The air temp has dropped 4 degrees from 72 down to about 68. And, man, the blocks on the backstretch, it just never gets old. Oh, my gosh. Jack B. Ryan all over the back end of Merrick Watchorn into the corner. Grant Peterson even in this. He's getting stacked up. Taylor Butcher Benjamin there as well as the 52. Going to try to drive down to the bottom side of McGill. Can't quite work that time.
Peterson tried to make a pass to get up into 4th spot past the 21 machine. You're riding on board with the race leader. Looking back at Jack Ryan, who's gotten pretty aggressive lately. Now, I don't think he's quite out here to make friends right now. He seems to be out here to get the race lead. and for the moment he's sitting in second place in car number 2, but definitely watch to see if he makes any big moves on Watchorn and move back up. Joe Joseph been holding on in third spot. You're looking at a side-by-side battle right now between Fisher and Meadows. They go past the start-finish line again. Logan Hamilton just behind him in 9th spot.
And how about that recovery once again from Logan Hamilton? And the fact that he slid those tires all through 1 and 2 and is holding on to the top 10 right here, that's impressive. And that shows how fast this Tucson Sound Art number 12 is this evening. Logan Hamilton, certainly a lot of speed. He said he turned a bunch of laps of practice throughout the week, and it's certainly showing as he rides in front of Colin Stone. I think this is about the furthest back he's been so far in the race, at least in the last 80 laps or so. So Logan Hamilton having to do a lot of learning back here as the track has completely changed with nightfall. And the way you've got to race one another has certainly changed as well. It has been very, very apparent, especially by him getting moved out of the way in turn 1.
Yeah, and I think the air that he's receiving now, he's got a lot of dirty air in this group. That's changing things for him as well. Logan ran up front for very long stints of time at the beginning of this race, and now he's kind of got to work with having 8 cars in front of him disturbing the air as he moves through it. But he's holding on pretty well. I'm actually really impressed by how well this car's handling in traffic. I know, he mentioned having clean air. Oh, boy, that was close. Meadows over. Yeah, the voice crack there a little bit of nerve, but Logan's car is handling really well in that dirty air, which he mentioned he wanted the clean air to keep the car running well, but the car's running pretty good with the dirty air too.
Hamilton forces his way down to the inside of Meadows, and at this point it's all recovery effort from Logan to try and get back up there. He tries to get to the inside of Meadows once more. It's going to be tough. I think he's got to sit back and wait, but he actually gets down to the bottom side for turn 1 there. So decent move from Hamilton to get to the inside, almost contact, but he kept it off of the 46. How about that piece of driving from Logan Hamilton? He's just trying to recover this race. He was doing so well for himself, and unfortunately his race has been just thrown awry. And man, he's doing a great job though, sitting back here in the 9th spot. And it's tough for a driver when you get thrown sideways like that. When your whole race is suddenly uprooted, it's really tough to reset yourself, get back into a good mindset, and get back at it in a good way. And he's doing everything he can right now to get to the inside of, Jack B. Ryan's AOD Racing teammate here at Cody Meadows.
And you mentioned it before, Andrew, as well. I mean, he slid on these tires. They're used up more than everybody else, obviously, who didn't go sideways for an entire corner. So that's definitely changing the way the car is running, but I think that shows a lot of how good this car is for Logan Hamilton, that he slid all that way, and he's still at least able to keep up with all these guys. Once we get further in, let them come get some new tires. Further into the stage, a pit cycle happens. Maybe Logan will have a little bit better chance to get around these guys, but for the time being, I kind of agree with the idea. Just kind of ride it out. I mean, don't lose too much time on the leaders, but just kind of get to the point where you can get the fresh rubber off this car.
Now on board with the driver who's led 7 laps this evening, Colin Stone. We don't usually call his name as a race leader. He stayed out earlier on in this race, led a few laps under green flag afterwards, and made his name known certainly this evening. He's been hanging on to about a top 10 position all night long, just staying nice and quiet around the top 10 barrier. And I'll just say I was joking around with he and Barrick last night as, oh my, that was a big move from Meadows up ahead. Hopefully they keep it clean. So like if they just talk about Colin Stone, we were joking around and saying, they were making light and exaggerating about how much we talk about some of the other drivers that are up in the front all night long usually. Colin Stone, he's making a name for himself. He's usually pretty quiet, that's why we don't usually talk about him as much. But he's consistent. I got to give him a shout out there. I got to give him props. He's consistent. He keeps himself where he needs to get some good points each week. And Colin Stone right now racing in 10th. These guys, though, oh my gosh, it just never ends, these crazy battles.
Yeah, so what happened right there, Logan Hamilton actually kind of clipped the grass a little bit down the straight, the front stretch last time, and that let these guys catch back up to each other. But obviously they've kind of gotten that figured out and back into a more reserved running order, and a little bit of space right here is going to allow them to run smoother. But it's just showing. I mean, they're really charging right now. I'm kind of surprised. This is a stage in the run that you really wouldn't expect this kind of move out of what Logan Hamilton's trying to do down the inside of Meadows. But it's speaking wonders on how well these cars are really handling right now.
That was very, very close up out of the corner. Thankfully, they keep it off of one another. If they got into one another, they kept it straight anyways. And Hamilton still trying the bottom side. This just has not given up over the course of these last, 10, 15 laps? Oh, contact that time, though! And he puts that AOD car hard in the wall. It's a big junk for Cody Meadows down the backstretch. Caution flag flies.
Meadows, yeah, sideways down the backstretch. That's not what we wanted to see at all. Cody was holding on very strong with Hamilton. I mean, Hamilton was just trying to trek along, get to the point where there was maybe a yellow or a pit stop cycle, and, well, he's got one.
Yeah, he certainly didn't want to be the cause of the caution, though, and man, this is a tough one. He just got tight on the bottom side. I noted it out of turn 4, and it happened again out of turn 2. It's just what happens when you're racing somebody that closely for so long. You start to burn that tire off, and you know what? I gotta say, I think Jack B. Ryan setting this 12 car sideways like that earlier on maybe is what just hurt his tires so bad where he got tight on the inside of his teammate, and now his teammate's spinning down the backstretch. Cody Meadows around out of turn number 2.
I mean, you know, you and I, Andrew, the two plebs up in the booth, we even know that the cars are getting tight for these guys when the runs get long and the tires get worn out. So obviously Meadows is going to know that. He's got Hamilton down low, the tires. You can kind of expect what's going to happen there. Unfortunately, they just kind of ran out of space between each other. They did some contact beforehand, actually, too. But as the field's coming down through the pit lane under yellow, you're watching the side. Just, I mean, kind of expected that car's going to get tight for him, and unfortunately just running out of racing room together.
Yeah, nothing either driver did wrong. Cody's got all the right in the world to defend like that, and Logan Hamilton has all the right in the world to race and to try and go for that spot on the bottom side. So those guys just raced to get out for that position. That was just inside the top 10, and when you're going at it towards the end of this race, you've got to race really, really hard. That's what they were doing, but how about this? Race off the pit lane, going to go the way of Joseph. And that's going to move Merrick Watchorn down to position number 2. Oldham McGill going to exit 3rd place. What do you say, actually? We dial up the 3rd place driver now. Points leader coming into this one. Holden McGill, he's sitting down there with his Badger Racing teammates of Anthony Wasadi and Grant Peterson. Let's dial him up. Let's talk to him real quick.
So we'll pull him in. Holden McGill. Here he is. Holden, this is Joe Donahue with Pit Stop TV. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, Holden. Well, car looks like it's handling pretty good for you. Obviously, you're at the top end of the leaderboard for the championship. You got a couple laps left. What do you think? What's the strategy right now at the end of this race?
Strategy is get to the lead, because I mean, once we get about 15 laps into a run, you can't really do anything. So, just got to get a little risky at the beginning.
And how do you think that's changed over the night? Obviously, we started in the evening, we rolled into the nighttime, track changed, temperatures changed, basically everything changed. So is that kind of how the race has become, or has that sort of been what you've analyzed through the entire race?
It showed up on just about every run. The first one, the 12 was able to hold the lead and then gap us pretty well. And then the second run, it seemed to not be quite as bad. I think either Merrick or Jack was able to keep up with him a little better, but it's just after a while it gets so hard to pass, and it takes a lot of work or even some help.
Yeah, so you mentioned just kind of working with what you've got over the course of the night. Obviously you're analyzing the situation as you go, and so when you analyze these situations, are you thinking about the points at all, the championship? You got Joseph right in front of you. He's your main competitor right now at the top end of the board, or are you just kind of running out the race?
For the stages, yeah, kind of. I know I gained some on him on the first stage, and then I think he got one back in the second stage, but at this point, you just got to focus on the win, or else you're going to be thinking about too much, and just one more distraction.
Good outlook there, Holden. I respect that fully, and so we'll let you get away from the distraction of us here at Pit Stop TV, but real quick before we do that, give you the center stage. Anybody you want to thank for your run, and hopefully for the podium or win?
Just want to thank my team. I want to thank the L-TAC admins that worked hard to put on the show, and thank you to y'all for putting on a good broadcast.
Absolutely. We'll go get them, Tiger, and maybe we'll be talking to you again.
10-4. We'll see what we can do.
So there you got Holden McGill, Andrew. Yeah, you mentioned, just another distraction, and, good outlook. You want to focus on the track in front of you to not get distracted and get caught up in something.
Absolutely, and taking this pit stop out of things for these drivers to the end of this race, it's going to be ever important to take distractions out of this one and just focus on the track ahead, focus on the race you're presented with, because suddenly these drivers have a straight-up shootout to the end of this one. Joseph, Merrick Watchorn, Holden McGill, Jack B. Ryan, Taylor Butcher Benjamin even in the top 5 still, Grant Peterson. They've all got 24 laps to settle this one here at the Kansas Speedway. We thank you so much for joining us here at Pit Stop TV and joining us with our partners, Tucson Sound Art, Race Pace Setups, Permanent Makeup in Cryo in Maine, and Whiplash Media, the official camera and graphic provider of Pit Stop TV. Coming to the green flag this time. 24 laps remain on the docket for these drivers. Joseph waiting on the green flag signal. There it is. We're off and racing once more at Kansas. Here comes the charge. Holden McGill all over the back end of Joseph down to turn number 3. They'll fight to the corner. Merrick Watchorn on the outside.
Watchorn, the only one to go up top. Butcher Benjamin on the inside.
Whoa! Big crash!
Through the wall. Ooh,
Logan Hamilton's in it.
Oh, that's a lot of cars back there getting junked.
It all started with Colin Stone. Logan Hamilton's in it big. A lot of cars, as you said, involved in this. Colin Stone, he's junk. Robert Pattengale just completely destroyed on the top side of the racetrack. Lap 111, 112 of 134, and we've got a big one on a turn number 4.
We'll catch that Pit Stop TV replay. I see Sean Deal, Logan Hamilton, Colin Stone, Derek Rolleveld in this. So you're watching with Colin Stone right here. They come out of turn number 2. Down the back, right behind Fisher. He's got Hamilton in behind him. Now he goes to the top side. Fisher and Hamilton down on the inside.
Just got loose in the seam.
That's Peterson. Peterson got loose. Actually, both of them. Peterson and Stone kind of got loose. They're going through the corner.
Oh, my
but
gosh.
Obviously, yeah, Colin Stone was the one that obviously got up into the wall and collected a whole bunch more cars there.
Just crashing all over the place. I've never seen a field just all get loose at the same time and all just kind of go down the drain like that. A lot just happened in turns 3 and 4. Grant Peterson, you mentioned him getting loose on the bottom side, and I had not noticed that one at first. We were on board with Joseph, and I saw the green 43 atop the racetrack, and that he was loose. I hadn't noticed Grant Peterson at first, but he's going to have problems. Then we'll flash back here to the 33 car of Robert Pattengale if we can, and see how he gets involved in all of this, see him stacking up. That's how Hamilton got in it, and here's Robert Pattengale's on board. You can't see where to go, and even so, oh my gosh, the hole just closed up.
I'm kind of wondering how.
Oh, and he got hit! Whoa. He got hit from behind a ton.
I saw that at the end there. I think that was Trouth who got into him there. That interesting that happened late like that. But I mean, I was going to mention, Peterson I think had a pretty significant part in that incident because he got loose, kind of pushed Hamilton up, and then Hamilton slid to where Colin Stone was. But we're right on board with Trouth. You can see what he saw as these guys.
Oh my gosh, he couldn't see anything.
Yeah, I mean, what can you see? All you see is smoke, and unfortunately just kind of got caught off the 58 machine, piled into the back, and tough break there. Just keep that caution going, keep that crash going, but, what are you going to do? You can't see.
I was getting ready to call him out for doing something dumb, but no, he just couldn't see. I'm glad we took the onboard before I said anything, because there was just nowhere to go, and oh my gosh. Oh man. This is a big one down this front stretch. There's so many cars involved. This is one of those wrecks where it's easier to call out the cars not involved.
Yeah, I mean this incident started up with Peterson and Stone. I mean they weren't far out. I mean they're running in the top 10. There's a lot of guys behind them. So once that starts happening in the corner, it's a little tight, especially when you got cars sideways. The space on the track gets kind of tight, and then just piles in. Rolleveld, you're watching him there too. It's just he's.
So many cars involved here, and we're going to try and find some more angles of what happens. Like, I actually want to take the onboard here with Barrick Uphold if we can find it and see how it works out for him. Here it'll be. This is the onboard with Barrick Uphold. You see the 43 loose on the top side, and of course Stone took that big header into the outside wall after that contact. That's where Hamilton gets it, and the checkup gets Rolleveld loose, and Uphold trying to check up as well ends up getting into him. So just a chain reaction when you have a couple of cars getting loose like that, I got to give these guys props. I've been in way too many races where drivers can obviously see that cars are checking up and they don't lift. I think, unfortunately, these issues were actually furthered by these guys lifting and the cars just getting loose when they did.
Yeah, I was surprised to see so many cars getting loose in the corner even before the caution happened. Obviously, Peterson and Stone kind of were simultaneously sliding through 3 and 4, but obviously, yeah, like you said, I mean, you upset the balance of the car when you let off the throttle, and that does affect the handling pretty significantly. So not much they could do to get those cars out of the way and just kind of keep piling in. That was tough to see, and a lot of cars damaged, but we're getting close to the end of this race. Maybe they can get it fixed up and have a run at the finish. At least get some points.
Certainly the big one here at the Kansas Speedway. We thank you so much for tuning in here on Pit Stop TV as this one is getting ready to come to a close. We've got just to the far side 20 laps to go the last time by. We'll restart with 19 to go for the 20 and the 21 on the front row. The 91 on the inside of row number 2, that's Merrick Watchorn. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, he survives to see another lap, and he will race from the 4th position on this restart. Ryan up there, you got Fisher still in this. Peterson, Uphold, Berger, they're still racing despite being involved in those cautions, or in that caution most recently just a little bit. We'll race to see how this restart goes on at the completion here of lap 115. Coming to lap 116. Again, 19 laps to go. Let's do it all over again. The entire field spreading out a little bit down the back stretch. They'll go now. Big crash.
We got a big crash. Brett
big
Fisher
crash.
was sideways there. That was a big incident there, bringing it out of turn number 2.
Brett Fisher looks like he might be, the car might not be totally done, but another caution flag here at the Kansas Speedway. This race has kind of taken a big turn away from how it was going earlier on. We had a lot of green flag racing, a couple of cautions to slow us down in stage 1. Stage 2, I think, was green the entire way. And here in stage 3, we've certainly had a spike here of incidents. Jeremy Berger just loose and overcorrected.
Yeah, Berger hit that little white line down there, and obviously the apron upset that car. He slid up to where Fisher was, and unfortunately just kind of collected each other into it. I mean, you get to the end of this race, you run the whole way to get to the end, be in contention to win, get good points, and you get to the end, you need a couple extra spots. You want to push a little bit, you want to try to move up a couple extra spots off the restarts, get pushing. So definitely aggression is showing itself, and obviously aggression's bringing a caution with it too.
Thankfully, I don't think anybody else was involved in this, despite everybody fanning out down the back stretch, trying to miss that. I don't think anybody else, aside from that blue cone on the inside of the racetrack, was caught up in all of this. So I think everybody else will race on to see another lap. They will keep on in this one. Looks like we've even got a wave around. This going to Roger Shelton in the number 7 car, who is 18 laps down, so certainly well needed for him. And actually, I think he was 18 laps down when he got that drive-through penalty earlier on in this race, so I'm glad he's getting a lap back here, getting a little bit closer. I'm not sure what happened to him to put him 18 laps down, but the car looks clean. I can't imagine that it would have been due to anything on the racetrack, so, of course, maybe that was an incident of real life stepping in a little bit. Maybe he had to step away from the sim for just a moment.
I believe that is what happened. He's been lapped down for a long period of time in this race. I mean, we think back to stage 1 was when things kind of went awry for Shelton. Whatever happened to Roger obviously sent the 7 car to the rear, and he's, props to him. He's the only car lapped down at the moment, but he is still out there and he's still getting laps. And I know we've talked about this before, Andrew, but there's just a lot of respect for people who do that. Those guys who, even though their race may be over in terms of getting up to the front, being, in shots for top 5s, top 10s, still going out and still doing laps. There's some value to that.
Yeah, there absolutely is, and this takes me back to the Bluegrass iRacing Series not so long ago. In fact, just over a week ago now at the Phoenix Raceway to finish up their season. There were drivers that were several laps down. In fact, they had no opportunity to keep racing and making up positions, but they kept on the racetrack, they kept after it. They showed up to complete the race, and by all means, they did. Those names being Brian Terry and Mike Brisson in that situation. And I got to tell you, I wasn't expecting any, obviously, didn't highlight them expecting something on Facebook, but they actually tagged me in a post on Facebook later on just thanking me for the spotlight, because they were just happy to be spotlighted there at the end of the race. It was important to them to be talked about there at the end, and to get those great words from us atop the booth. And it's big when somebody just keeps in the race like that, does not want to give up. Doesn't matter to Roger Shelton now that he has no opportunity realistically to get back on the lead lap. He's exactly in their situation. He's 18 laps down. We've got 16 the last time by the start-finish line. So Roger Shelton cannot catch any of these drivers. He's still out there. He's still racing. He's not going to park that race car, and that certainly is definitely admirable, especially in a race like this. You've mentioned it a couple of times. He's just soldiering on.
Yeah, what more do you need? I mean, in life, there's a lot of things that come at you, and it's hard. And of all the things you can get out of racing that you can apply to your day-to-day, when you wake up in the morning, you go to your real job, as opposed to your time on iRacing, that's probably the biggest. It's just the motivation to keep moving forward. Don't get knocked down. Don't stay down. Get up. Keep moving. You gotta just sacrifice what you are right now for what you want to become. If you want to be competitive, you got to get the laps in, you got to get the practice. So don't be afraid to sacrifice. Maybe, hey, I'm 18 laps down, still out on this track, but I can come around, I can win races, and just give yourself opportunities to be better, to do better, and to learn. And that's really important in life, really important on iRacing, really important in racing. So really great to see Roger taking advantage of that right now.
So as I mentioned, just to the far side now of 16 laps to go. In fact, 15. I'm getting numbers all kinds of mixed up. 15 laps to go. The last time by the start-finish line. We will take 14 to go this time by, and finish this race up here in just a little while. Lap 120 coming to lap 121 once we get back going. Again, a big thank you to Joe Donahue in the booth with me this evening, Corey Rexford on our social media. And if you want to join the Pit Stop TV crew, by all means, email me directly at andrew@pitstoptv.com. We'll talk to you, we'll get you into the fold, and we will get you included in these broadcasts. Coming to the next green flag of the evening, again, lap 121 as we cross the start and finish. Look at that, Merrick Watchorn slots right in behind the 20 car of Joseph.
And, I want to mention how important that I think that was, that Watchorn slid down to the bottom. I mean, showing that the bottom side is where he wants to be that bad, that he's willing to give up the possible run on the outside of car number 20 to go into the bottom lane right there. I think, that's kind of proven what these guys are going to want to try to do over these last couple laps and see what the strategy is to win this race.
Absolutely important for Watchorn to get down to the inside and block McGill from taking that position possibly down the backstretch. And now Jack B. Ryan, hey, we've seen him be aggressive his fair share of times this evening all over the back end to hold McGill as Watchorn tries the top side. Ryan tries the bottom of McGill, and it's going to work out.
They're 2 by 2 out of turn 2, maybe almost a little bit of contact between Joseph.
Oh, they're door banging. What is this?
Oh, man, they're getting into it with each other right now. Jack Ryan was the one who was aggressive earlier on. Now it's Watchorn and Joseph up at the top end. That has allowed McGill and Ryan to catch back up, as well as Peterson now in 5th place, too. So this is all kinds of squirrely coming past the line to get closer to 10 laps to go. And 5 cars really close together right now into turn 1.
Peterson almost did a very similar thing to Jack B. Ryan that Jack B. Ryan did to Logan Hamilton. That was very close into one. I'm very surprised that Joseph and Watchorn seemed to be door banging down the backstretch last time by. This time through, no contact is, wow, Jack B. Ryan. He made a slice to the top side, and he definitely scared McGill. McGill's dropping like a rock.
He pushed McGill out of the line that Holden was running at that moment in time, and the 21, he kind of had to catch that thing and pull it back together. Unfortunately, that sent him much further back than he wanted to be at this stage in the race. He'll have to charge forward, and he's actually doing a pretty good job up top. But in the meantime, you got to race for the lead. Joseph has Jack Ryan pushing him down the back. He's got Watchorn to his outside. The 20 car with some momentum gets that lead. Holy cow, they're all together right now. This is pretty good racing to finish here.
10 laps to go this time by, and I love the aggression. I love getting up there and roughing people up, but man, it's only a matter of time until the bully becomes the bullied, and Jack B. Ryan takes that high entry to turn number 1 and kind of pushes Peterson up the racetrack a little bit. You see the entire field exit turn number 2. Still this dead heat down the backstretch. Watchorn pulls ahead for a moment into 3. Ryan! Oh my gosh! This is insane.
I cannot believe...
There it is. They're wrecking.
There it is.
Whoa! They keep it straight! They're going to say 3 wide. Merrick Watchorn, you're not clear! There it is! Oh my gosh!
Wow. Saw that one coming 2 corners early.
I saw that one coming 5 laps ago.
That was, wow, they got so close together. Oh, there's a lot of upset people in this chat right now. That was tough to see, though.
Man, that's a tough one. I don't know that anyone specifically did anything wrong up until maybe Ryan pushing it down to the bottom side. I don't think that was the best of ideas. There it is, the replay of that. That pushes Joseph into Watchhorn. I don't know if Watchhorn knew they were 3 wide when they came across the stripe, and he just turned left. And unfortunately, there it is. Yeah, he just completely turns left, wipes out Jack B. Ryan by virtue of... Oh my gosh, look at this.
That's a lot of cars right there getting junked, and so close to the end of the race. That's so tough to see. There are people up at the front end of the field. And one of the things about this, they get squirrely out of turn 4, they catch it, they slow down, and everybody behind them catches up, and nobody wants to slow down either. So everything gets very close coming down the straightaway. But yeah, I don't really know. Watchhorn definitely, I would think, couldn't have seen Joseph right there, because it just kind of cut where the 20 was.
This is insane, and we'll watch this from the speed shot when we come around. The fact that they saved it right there, I thought they were going to keep racing. That would have been amazing if they had, and then Watchhorn just wasn't quite clear. Oh my gosh, that impact for Jack B. Ryan. Thankfully, this is a sim. That would have been a big one. But I do want to say something, and man, it's tough. I know there's a lot of opinions about the racing so far this evening. I don't like in the chat calling that one karma, guys. I got to be honest with you. That was just racing. There's nothing Watchhorn did there intentionally. Watchhorn just turned left, thought he was clear to go further down the racetrack. I'm not sure I like calling that one karma, guys. I don't like that one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously these guys aren't in here listening to the racer chat, but he definitely, I mean, Watchhorn came on the radio and he said, hey, my bad, I didn't think there was a car there. That's on me. That, he took the blame for that. That's respectable for Eric to respect that. Hey, kind of came down to where a car was already on the track that he didn't catch, didn't note, and unfortunately brought a lot of guys into this one. You're on board with another one of those guys who got caught in this incident, Frank Flores. You're going to see what he saw going out of turn number 4.
And keep in mind here for Watchhorn, there's a lot going on, and it's a split-second decision. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. That's why we're in 2021. Things happen when you're racing 200 miles an hour or thereabouts, even 180, whatever it is for these drivers. It all happens so quickly, and obviously did not want to keep coming down the racetrack like that, did not want to just completely wipe anybody out, because that damages his car as well and takes out a ton of drivers in this race, including, I'm sure, a couple of his teammates possibly, or at the very least endangers their races. It's easy to sit here and watch the replay and say, obviously, he should have known that they were 3 wide, couldn't come down that far. It's a split-second decision, man. It all happens in the moment. He knows he's in the wrong after the fact, and that's just it. He knows after the fact. He knows now, hey, got to maybe watch that next time. Don't come so far down the racetrack. And you know what? If it costs him a 10th of the front stretch, I think he'll understand next time it costs him a 10th, whatever. I think losing a 10th and staying racing is better than obviously what we just saw. A lot of cars involved in that.
Yeah, and a lot of guys who were up at the front end of the field, a lot of fast cars that were involved in that. Obviously, I mean, Ryan hit the wall so hard. And even though, I mean, it's a simulator, so he didn't feel the full blunt force of it, but if you've got like force feedback on your setup, your rig on iRacing, you can break your hand with something like that. So, I mean, they're not completely out of harm's way. Maybe minor injuries compared to what you could get if you were actually sitting in that vehicle, but definitely, you don't want to endanger the ability and mobility of competitors and have that sort of thing happen. So, I mean, Merritt came on the radio. He said, this is my fault. I apologize. And obviously, you know better than to come across a car down on your inside and just didn't see it. That's kind of the heat of the moment. It's a tough break, but we'll move forward. The guys will move on. They'll regroup, see what they can do with the last couple laps of this race.
We will restart this race, round number 10 here at Kansas Speedway for the L-TAC Cup Series with 4 laps to go. Eric Watchhorn, the race leader now after that one. I'm sure there will be some interesting thoughts as to what just went down. You know what? You could be mad at the 91 all day long, but that was just sparked by all of the aggression. Everybody battling, knowing it was coming down to the end of the race, knowing they were coming down to 10 laps to go. They were all going for all kinds of different positions. So, you know what? It happens. It happens. As we might say, as our younger generation might say, it really do be that way. Or it is what it is. It's just what happens sometimes. You're going for those positions inside of 10 laps to go. Mistakes are made. And such is life. Nobody's perfect. We'll keep on. We'll go after it one more time. Again, 4 laps to go for these drivers. Merrick Watchorn, your race leader. Then it's Holden McGill, Grant Peterson, Taylor Butcher Benjamin, and Cody Meadows down low. The top 5 all very close together, waiting on the green flag signal from the starter. We are back racing here at the Kansas Speedway.
That was, geez, did you see the jump on the inside line? I mean, they got away with it so strong right there. McGill falling back. He's got Peterson to the inside. Watchorn's all alone up at the front end right now. That's not going to hold on very long, though. We'll see how long that lasts.
Watching on board with Watchorn. I'm sure he's got some damage. Peterson powers to the top side. I don't expect the intensity to ramp down at all. Meadows, he's clear to 3rd place. McGill now 4th. We're coming around to take 3 laps to go.
Peterson's got the top side pretty nice, actually, out of that corner. Somebody sliding in the grass way back. We haven't gotten to yellow yet. We might be able to stay green. Someone just kind of...
There it is! Colin Stone!
There it is. Cars crashing in turn 1 here.
Richard Springer in it. Oh my gosh. Oh, we're still wrecking, guys. Man.
Yeah, you got to back that car down. I mean, we already see those cars barely moving on the straightaway in the corner. And you just got to be able to catch that. There's already a yellow out. You know to slow down. Tough break, but you know, Colin Stone right here definitely just caught up in another one.
And oh, he's going to have some contact there with Springer. I think possibly a deal of just trying to squeeze into turn 1, and then was this Sean Deal? Yeah, that was Sean Deal that came through. I wonder if it was maybe the switching lanes that did it for Sean. Let's go back and see what happens for him. Oh, you know what? He was in his own deal. He was very sideways in 3 and 4 racing Kevin Franks. He's very loose there again. He was one of those cars through the, well, sending somebody through the grass and then maybe through the grass. Oh my gosh, there's a lot more going on than I thought. You called out one car in the grass. I think that was Jeremy Berger. There's smoke, smoke, smoke. Slow down! Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, you have that smoke screen, and you want to slow down to get through that, but he got through the smoke screen. There's no smoke in between himself and those other cars, so definitely could have gotten that thing slowed down a little bit, but I mean, you mentioned it already. There's a lot going on the straightaway already. Yep. Berger was down in the grass, and yeah, I think that's very important to what happened. I think it's a very important part of the situation.
Jack B. Ryan was so close to taking another big header to the outside wall, and oh man, that hit after the fact. Thankfully, it wasn't that big of a hit. It was kind of a glancing blow. It looked a lot worse at first. Thankfully, Sean did a pretty decent job of missing at point blank for the most part, and just barely caught the left side there of the spun out 43 car. Grant Peterson, the race leader. We're into overtime, and this is going to force at least one green-white checkered. I would not be surprised if we force a couple more.
Yeah, with the way these guys have been racing, I mean, the aggression is showing. You're at the end of the race. It's go time. It's money time. So, you're further back in the field. We want to try to get a couple more spots, try to get just further and further towards the front. That's obviously showing that it's kind of bringing us to some yellows right now, some accidents. But, hey, I mean, these guys are out here to win. They're out here to try to be competitive and to do well. And you can't blame them for that. But certainly, you got to keep the wheels on the car and you got to get to the finish if you want to finish at all.
So, of course, we'll take a green-white checkered. We'll have 2 laps to go once we get back going. Not sure that it's going to be this time through. Not sure that it's going to be the next time through. We'll see if the pace car lights extinguish this time. And I'd imagine we double up either this time or the next. If we don't, we'll talk to a driver. And pace car lights, waiting on those to extinguish. Pace car lights, stay on. So what do you say we grab a driver here? I want to look a little bit deeper in the field. I want to talk to somebody that maybe we haven't talked to just yet. And we've got to see who's in Discord, though. That is the limiting factor. We can talk to any of these drivers in theory, but they're not all in the Discord chat. So we'll see who we can maybe grab and try and talk to them. I'm looking around. Let's see. Who do we think? We've got a few different drivers here, Joe. Who do you think we grab from Discord?
Well, let's take a peek. See here. I think we got just Joseph Flores Franks. Joseph might be interesting.
You know what?
We
Let's
could get
talk to
Colin
Taylor.
Stone.
Well, he's in 5th
Oh,
place.
Taylor, that's a great idea. The smart man running the producing, great idea.
So Taylor Butcher
All right.
Benjamin, we bring you to the booth, and buddy, we've talked to you before. We know it's been a rough season, but tonight might be changing that.
Man, it's gonna get wild here on this green-white checker, that's for sure. I haven't seen what my right front looks like, but I think I have a little bit. But I don't know. It's gonna be a crapshoot. Got some guys behind that got tires, and a lot of guys up at the front that are hungry, including myself. So we'll just have to see what we can get out of this. Just want to dedicate this race to a personal friend of mine named Savannah Payne, who she passed away yesterday, and I'm streaming this race right now and trying to honor her. So hope she can give me the strength to get me to a good finish here.
Buddy, that's huge, and I want to extend our condolences to you and her family. That is huge, and that's definitely tough to race under. But hey, you know what? I know that you've got the strength to go out there and win one of these races, so that's only going to help you out. Then you've got a great opportunity here on this restart. Do you think you can do it?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I got an angel riding with me, so just play it, see what happens.
Well, Taylor, best of luck to you, buddy. I know it's been a rough season. We're all pulling for you up here, especially learning that now as well. Best of luck to you on this restart.
Man, hold your breath, because it's going to get wild.
It definitely is. It definitely is. Thanks so much for your time, buddy. Best of luck. That's Taylor Butcher Benjamin, restarting from the 5th spot, and boy, that is a big one. That's huge. I've not had that one dropped on me before. That was a big one. Grant Peterson, he's going to be restarting from the 1st position. Merrick Watchor in 2nd place. Cody Meadows 3rd. We're back green flag racing. We've got 2 laps to do it. If we wreck on this first time through, we force another. If we get the white flag, this race is official. To the entire field rather stranding out down the backstretch. This is very single file for the most part. Now a challenge to the outside. Here comes Holden McGill. He's challenging for 3rd. Cody Meadows on the bottom side. It looks like we just might take the white flag. We might make this race official the first time through. Yes, we will. White flag is out for Grant Peterson. Merrick Watchorn. He's got one more chance.
Roy Grande was getting a little loose back there, but he held it together. We're staying green through 1 and 2. Peterson's got a really nice hold on this race. They're 3 wide, 2 wide behind him for position. That might get a little squirrely behind, but for the moment, the 52's got a pretty solid lead on him.
Battle's on for 2nd place as Peterson steps out. There it is. Rolleveld turns at 21. Holden McGill going to hang on. They're wrecking in behind. We'll talk more about that as Grant Peterson is going to power out of turn number 4. A Kansas Speedway race winner. The 2nd repeat winner on the season. Grant Peterson gets it done.
There were a couple of guys sliding through, just getting extra spots off that incident right there, but they kind of junked a good bit of them back there. His car's still wrecking in 3 and 4, but hey, Grant Peterson held on. Great restart, great run off of 1 and 2, and I mean, just out of harm's way completely for the 52 machine.
Let's try and take a look back, see what happens here on this final lap. Of course, Cody Meadows was in the center of that. We saw the contact a little behind there with Watchorn and Rolleveld and all of them, and man, big hits for some of those drivers.
Yeah, one of those guys involved in that was Taylor Butcher Benjamin, and we talked to him just before that restart. And heavy hearts. I think we were all rooting for Taylor right there. Unfortunately, just kind of caught up in a situation he could not control. These guys in front of him, I mean, you're getting aggressive. It's the end of the race. You got to try to make passes. McGill's involved in this. I mean, up at the top end of the leaderboard for the championship. You know, you got Watchorn, who's been strong all night up there in the championship as well. You got Meadows. They want to race. They want to win. And they put the afterburners on, but just kind of catch themselves out a little bit of control they lost. And obviously, you know, McGill's going to get a shove here from Rolleveld. Yeah, there it goes.
There was never a hole there. It's unfortunate that it comes to that ending for some of these drivers. Thankfully, Taylor Butcher Benjamin hung on for a top 10, gets 10th place, or sorry, 8th place. But man, that's a tough one. That's a tough one to swallow for a lot of drivers.
Yeah, and that sent Joseph back up into 4th place at the end of that one. So, he pulled something together, but, McGill did too. And so championship-wise, not super big, but for the race itself, I mean, Meadows had a chance. I think Butcher Benjamin could have got a couple extra spots out of that. Rolleveld probably would have been a little bit further back by the end of it. If this hadn't have happened, he probably wouldn't have come home P2. But, I mean, you got to try. But as much as you got to try to make those passes, be smart about it too.
Oh, Robert Pattengill gets taken out in the end. Oh my gosh. And you know what? I can't blame these guys for not lifting this time, as Berger came in and everybody just trying to get some spots there at the end of the race. Can't blame you for not lifting when it comes down to the end of the race like that. I think everybody would do the exact same thing in those shoes. But, man, very, very unfortunate for some of those drivers. We rejoin you live here to see the 52 car stopped on the front stretch. We will take a step aside. We'll be right back to you with post-race coverage from the Kansas Speedway here on the Kansas side of Kansas City. And by all means, stay with us. This is going to be very juicy, very interesting post-race, couple of conversations with these drivers. Can't wait to hear their thoughts on what a wild event we had here at the Kansas Speedway. Again, you're watching Pit Stop TV, post-race coverage just on the far side of this break. Do not go anywhere. You will regret it.
Sound Art is a product that is a speaker and it's art. We combine it together and we call it Sound Art. What makes it so unique that any picture can be your speaker? Sound Art gives you the high quality sound without the ugly speaker. This isn't a picture with a speaker, the picture is the speaker. Just imagine your wedding picture uploaded onto a canvas and now it's speaking 10,000 tunes. I mean, it's a very cool concept. What we like so much about it that you can take anything that means something very special to you, upload it on the canvas, have it hanging up in your room, your balcony, wherever you want to put it, and now it's a speaker. I mean, how cool is that? It's something that we have that and no one has. No one has this product. It's just a great gift to give anybody. It's just a neat concept. Around here we say, art never sounded so good.
After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
Thank you for staying with us and rejoining us here at Pit Stop TV on the far side of that quick post-race break. Grant Peterson gets it done at the Kansas Speedway. And Grant, it's been a few weeks since you did it the first time at Milwaukee, but you get it done this evening here at Kansas. How'd you do it?
Well, first and foremost, I want to thank all our military personnel who I'm so happy. I'm sorry. I don't know how I did it. Merrick said he had some damage on his front end that kind of slowed him down a little bit, and I don't know. I guess me trying to wreck the field getting sideways 3 or 4 times helped me out.
Hey, I feel you there with just not quite knowing what to say or how to say it sometimes, and your brain just doesn't quite cooperate. We saw a very interesting race. We'll just leave it there. What did you see from your perspective? How did you miss some of those incidents to keep your car at least relatively clean? A little bit of damage there on the back end for that last restart.
Well, I was sideways about 3 or 4 times. I think I caused one of the big ones getting loose there in 3 and 4. It's just, these cars are so aero dependent here. You gotta just know how to get runs and manipulate them so well. If you're able to arc it down into turn 1 really late, you were able to get a good run down the backstretch. So that's how I kind of got the lead there. But it almost went away when there was that big wreck with Jack Ryan across the start-finish line too.
Yeah, a lot of drivers were involved in a lot of incidents tonight. We'll push that aside for right now. I want to ask you specifically about the car and how it handled here this evening. We came into this one expecting you guys to be all over that top side. Definitely not the case. Why not?
Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know. Something they did with the wall dynamics and however the car wants to handle up there. I was behind a guy later on, or about midway through the race. He was running it, and he seemed kind of to hold his ground. I'm at a loss for words right now. I apologize.
Hey, all good. You just got your second win on the season. Let's talk about the implications of that real quick before we let you go. That's huge. We saw Jack B. Ryan get his second win on the season last week, and it doesn't help you lock in by any extra margin or anything to the playoffs, but it helps you in the terms of points, and it gets you extra points there, and that's big for the championship.
Yeah, it's definitely a big confidence booster. It's the last couple weeks we've been kind of there, but now we're here.
Yeah, you are right there with the best now, and you are the second driver to 2 wins. Nobody else has done that aside from Jack B. Ryan, so that's huge for you to get that second win on the season. Only 8 laps led tonight, but it is big for the rest of the season. Who do you have to thank? Who do you have to shout out here in race number 10 with a big W?
Well, my teammates Holden and Anthony Musati. Ryan Dingler wasn't able to make it. He had company over, but Holden, he was screaming at me when I took the bottom on that last restart. He was mad at me for not taking the top, but I'm glad I took the bottom.
Well, it all worked out for you. You get this win here in Kansas. Congratulations, and we'll be talking to you next time.
Can't wait.
So Grant Peterson gets yet another race win, only the second to get multiple wins on the season. We'll hand it down to second place with Joe Donahue.
Yeah, so we're going to bring in driver of the 99, Derek Rollveld. This is Joe Donahue with Pit Stop TV. You got a copy?
Yep.
Well, Derek, second place at the end of that one. It was a wild finish to get to the checkered flag there.
Yeah, it definitely was a bit wild. Made a bit of mistake there on the back. I guess a bit aggressive, and then mistimed and gave a bit of a bump there. But it worked out for us, so that was good, I guess.
Yeah, things got a little squirrely there through 3 and 4 that last time. But talk about how did you even get yourself into position to have a run like that? I mean, you came on pretty strong. You looked like you had a chance.
Yeah, I was just being a bit patient all race, and at the end there, I took some tires and got the fast repair, and I think that helped me have a bunch of speed. And the restart before that put me into a good position, and I was actually surprised how quickly I was able to get back up there after making that strategy call.
Yeah, I mean, that speed definitely showed, and maybe you'll be able to carry that forward. I want to get your insight. You move forward, the championship, you're up there, you're doing okay. There's plenty of races left. The next one being Pocono. I mean, what's your outlook on Pocono? What's your outlook on the championship?
Yeah, it's still a long way to go, so I'm not thinking too much of the championship, especially with the the playoff format. But Pocono next week should be fun. I like that track, so should be a good one. Well,
that's definitely fair. You'll be watching to see what you got there, and maybe carry some of that speed forward. Before we let you go to celebrate this second place finish tonight, Derek, I want to give you center stage, let you thank anybody or say anything here on the broadcast you got.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my team, AOD, and Jack and Cody for racing with me. It's been a lot of fun. Unfortunately, they didn't quite get as good a finish tonight, but I'd like to thank them for all they do.
Teamwork makes the dream work, Derek. Well, congratulations on the second place finish. We'll be looking to see more out of you at Pocono next time.
All right, thanks, guys.
Andrew, I'm going to go on ahead and hand it back to you to take third place. Pretty solid interview there from Derek, and he said speed and carried it in and maybe got a little ahead of himself, but still brought it home second. Give it up to you.
Absolutely, and we'll move on then to this guy who's sliding in this replay. Holden McGill, we talked to you a little while ago here in stage number 3 before things got really messy. How did you keep your 21 in the thick of things?
Just tried to get to the bottom, tried to block any runs that were coming without wrecking anything, and then in the end of it just had to stay in the gas and pray that the car didn't spin.
Well, you keep things together here at the end, but it wasn't always looking like it. Grant even mentioned that you were kind of peeved maybe that he took the bottom side instead of the top. That kind of put you back on that restart. We're seeing it now. What were you trying to do on those last couple of laps to better your chances at a race win?
Well, the run before that, I had gotten a little bit on that kind of, it's not even the second groove, it's like the 1.5 groove, just trying to hold people down and stay. There's about a lane of grip on the bottom of that track that you could kind of get into if you held someone down and was just getting the car a little bit loose to try to get around just trying to make the outside work like it hadn't really tonight. And that's all I really had that I could try. And it almost worked.
So things are razor close, 10 races into this season between you and Joseph for the points lead. Tonight's going to help you out. You end up, some 6 positions ahead in stage 1. I think you guys were nose to tail in stage 2. You get him back here at the end of the race. How are you trying to keep yourself on the leading edge of that battle?
Just trying to focus about running up front, getting decent stage points, and trying to keep from having more weeks like I had last week.
And Holden, who do you have to thank? Who do you have to shout out here for a third place finish this evening?
Thanks to my teammates, the L-TAC admins, and to y'all for putting on a great show.
Thanks so much here, Holden. Best of luck to you next week at Pocono. Things are going to be a whole lot different, but thanks so much for your time. Congratulations on third place and hanging on there.
Thanks, Ben. Good to talk to you. It's been a while.
Hey, it's always a good night when you're talking to us at the end of the evening. So, again, congratulations on getting the bottom step of the podium. And, hey, this is keeping you in that points battle, keeping you up top of the point standings. Best of luck to you next week at Pocono.
Thanks, man. Y'all have a good one.
That's Holden McGill finishing things from the third position. And, Joe, we're going to take a couple of extra interviews this evening. We're going to hand it down to 9th place finisher. You see him in frame here. He came to the white flag second place, but he didn't end that way. Let's talk to him now. Joe, take it away.
All right, we're going to bring Merrick Watchhorn in, or actually we're going to see if we can get him in here. It might take a second quick.
We had him for a moment. We'll try and grab him one more time, and here he is.
Merrick, this is Joe Donahue with Pit Stop TV. You got a copy?
Got a copy.
Hey, we got him this time. All right, Merrick. Well, coming to the white flag P2 and coming to the checker flag P9. Not what you wanted. Talk us through that one.
Definitely a tough one. If anything, Twiggy Machine was fast all night. We were up there, finished 4th in stage 1, stage 2, finished in 2nd, and coming down short and at 9th. I mean, we still gained some good points, but no, there was a lot of damage to my left front. I didn't think I had that much damage, and when I went to put the clutch in, I was at 2,000 RPMs, and after that, the car just didn't want to get any straight line speed. So I was just trying to hold the bottom and possibly finish out with top 5. But instead, Derek tried to put it 3 wide and took out Holden. Holden took out me, and then I took out everybody else. So, I mean, it's one of those deals, man. So it was a fun race. Hopefully we can come back next week and do it all again and give you all a wonderful show.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of summed up all the questions I was going to ask you there about the finish and, your momentum over the course of the night. But hey, momentum, you can carry that forward. So you got Pocono on the calendar. I mean, what's the outlook? What are your intentions? How do you like Pocono? What are you looking at for next week?
Consistency. Pocono is not one of my strongest tracks. I mean, I love the track, but I'm not really consistent or strong there. So I'll probably be a back marker for the early part until I get the hang of the car. Maybe the setup will be different because I don't know what it is with the fixed setup. I just never could figure it out. But hopefully the setup for this one will be more to my liking, and maybe I'll be up front. I have no idea, but I do know that turn one. And that straightaway is going to be insane. You're going to see people go 4, maybe 5 wide. We're going to have to drop it down to 3 before we enter turn 1. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting race. Can't wait for it, and hope to get the 91 back up there and maybe lead some laps.
Well, hey, it's almost more of the same. I mean, we saw people going 4 wide tonight, and getting down to 3 again. So, let's see what brings it through. Yeah, but. Merrick, before we let you go here, you hit all the points pretty good, but you didn't hit your sponsors and those people you want to thank. So we'll give you center stage. Anybody you want to thank? Anything else you want to throw out here on the broadcast?
Yeah, man, I want to thank the Watch Innovations Group, Futuristic Studios. I want to thank Capture the Moment Photography Incorporated. Can do about them. They're really a supportive group. I want to thank my friends, my family, and I want to thank y'all for hosting and a great broadcast team, and hopefully we'll continue shining for y'all every week in and week out and keep y'all in the loop of all the drama that keeps happening here.
Well, hey, you got a good run out of tonight, and maybe you bring that forward, and hopefully things stay exciting, and hopefully we can bring you back up and keep talking to you. So good luck with that. We'll let you go to enjoy this one and take what you can out of tonight and learn for Pocono next time.
Thanks, guys.
Well, there you go. It's Merrick Watchorn coming home P9. Had a pretty good, strong run to the checker flag there. Andrew basically answered all my questions before I even got to ask them, so you had plenty to give us insight on, but I'll hand it back to you.
Hey, those kinds of interviews are always just that little bit nicer when the driver kind of expects where you're going to take things. Again, adding to some of this post-race coverage, want to bring in another driver. This guy ends up finishing 19th. Anthony, we saw you up towards the front. In fact, you started 4th this evening, and you had a couple of opportunities to race towards the top end of the scoring pylon. How did your night go? Why'd you finish 15th?
Oh, just got behind a little earlier in the race. Had some contact, got sent to the back, and then just from there, this place is so hard to pass. I just could not make my way back up front. And by the time I did, it seemed like I think I was like P8, P9, and then got caught in that big one towards the end on the front straightaway.
Yeah, just trying to talk so much to... We'll restart that one. Let's back it up, hit rewind a little bit. Just try to talk to some extra drivers this evening, get some extra opinions, especially because, hey, we saw a very challenging 30 laps in more ways than one. How did it go for you in the 49? What did you see from your perspective?
I saw clean air was key. As soon as you got back in traffic, after 5, 6, 7 laps, it became extremely hard to really even make any gains. Once the tires equalized, just was just really hard to pass. It's really a lot different since they did the update on this track, because it was riding the wall, and now it seems like you're riding that white line.
Yeah, it was very different watching you guys hook the bottom side like that. But hey, thanks so much for your time this evening. Congratulations on at least a good starting position. I'm used to saying congratulations on a podium finish, not the way you wanted things to go. I got to ask you though, A, who do you think, who do you shout out? B, what's your prediction for yourself next week at Pocono?
I want to give thanks to my teammates, Quick Pits Automotive. They're the sponsor of my car. And then also you guys as well for putting on broadcasting. You guys do a fantastic job. Hopefully we can just have some more entertaining racing for you guys. Pocono, it's been a little bit since I've been there, but I'm pretty excited to have a little bit off throttle time to kind of change it up versus having full throttle. It seems like everywhere you go.
Certainly the racing was action-packed this evening. Anthony, thank you so much for your time. I gotta say, though, before we send you away, I kind of picked you to win this thing, man. I saw you in 4th place lining up at the top of the night, and I picked you to go up there and win it. You got to make me look a little better next week. You got to go out there and get it next week, Pocono. Best of luck to you. I'm going to be watching for that 49 car.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it, guys.
Anthony Massotti finishing things maybe not where he wants to again, 15th position, but certainly started the night rather strongly, and I think shows that Anthony has pace. The Moose, as you can see above his name rail, he's got pace. It's just a matter of putting the race together and making sure he's on the good side of the luck, which definitely got some drivers this evening, I'd say.
Yeah, I absolutely think that's a great point there, Andrew. I mean, especially that final lap, it just sums up what you just said so much. It's just be the right place at the right time, or wrong place, wrong time, and it has so much more effect on you than you want to have it or you expect. Definitely wasn't expecting that into turn 3.
So 138 laps later, we have a victor. It is none other than Grant Peterson getting his 2nd win on the season. Derek Rolleveld there in 2nd place. Holden McGill 3rd. We talked to all 3 of those guys. Joseph, hey, look at that. The 20 car recovers to 4th position. Brett Fisher, he ends up 5th. That's a huge top 5 for Brett. He's down around kind of the midfield points battles. That's going to be big time for the driver of the number 30. Ryder Schrauf, he recovers big time as well. He finishes 6th spot. How about that for Ryder? Jack B. Ryan holds on to 7th position. Taylor Butcher Benjamin, despite being taken up in that final lap accident a little bit, he ends up in 8th spot. Still not the worst evening overall. Merrick Watchhorn, Jeremy Berger right there finishing up in the top 10.
You roll it back to 11th spot, you got Kevin Franks in car number 98. Didn't really hear a lot about him, but just outside the top 10 at the end of this one. Sean Deal, car number 44, comes home 12th. Then you got Robert Pattengale in the Tucson Sound Art number 33 in 13th spot. Roy Grande in 14th. And Anthony Musati, we talked to him, runs in 15th spot at the end of this one. Stefan Purcell in car number 57 brings it home 16th. Had some showings at the beginnings. Barrick Uphold in 17th spot at the end of this one as well. Last car to finish on the lead lap is going to be the 46 of Cody Meadows. My apologies. And then you throw it back to 19th. Logan Hamilton ended up a lap down in 19th spot at the end of this race. Led the way for so long. Tough break for Logan, but bounce back, rebound for next time. Richard Springer going to finish 1 lap down as well in 20th spot.
Finishing 21st this evening, it's Colin Stone. We talked about him actually a lot this evening. He kept things right around the top 10 cutoff through the first couple of stages. Unfortunately, caught up in some events later on in this race. Finishes 6 laps down in 21st spot. You also see Frank Flores, Roger Shelton down here. They finished 22nd, 23rd. And Nolan Rempel, hey, shout out to our admin here in the L-TAC Cup Series. He's got a lot of work to do week in, week out, especially this evening here at the Kansas Speedway. Which brings me to my next point. Final thoughts here, Joe. Final thoughts as we wrap up a very dramatic, possibly controversial race number 10.
Well, I think, the track changed at the beginning a lot. And the guys did a really great job of keeping control of those cars, making sure that the cars handled the transition from the daytime into the nighttime. It got dark and it got crazy. And these guys, they get to the end of the race, they want to get aggressive, they want to get points, they want to get spots, all that jazz. And they did that, but it came at a cost for some guys and it came at a benefit for others. So, that's kind of the ebb and flow of racing. I mean, you go out on track and that's kind of the risk you got to take. But, they'll go to Pocono next time. They'll have this one under their belt, maybe learn something. Some of those guys at the back end just running some laps, gain some extra time on track. Pocono, I love Pocono. It's my home track. So I'm looking forward to seeing these guys out there. And should be exciting. I think they proved they can run with each other pretty well. So see what we get out of next week.
Yeah, I gotta say, we sometimes get a little bit downtrodden, and I've said this multiple times now this season, unfortunately. We like to see green flag racing, just like anybody else. We like to see these guys hard on each other's doors, but keeping things straight, keeping things moving in the right direction. We want to see amazing battles, green flag racing. We don't want to see those accidents, and it's really tough. Talking to a lot of these guys throughout the week, getting familiar with these drivers, it's really tough to see those big breaks when things do go wrong. But hey, it all comes down to those mistakes that sometimes happen. Everybody makes them, and it's what makes these races exciting. Without mistakes, everybody would be locked into a line, and they would keep going. So, by all means, sure, we'll get a little bit maybe more negative sounding but I do got to say, the L-TAC Cup Series, they know how to put on a very dramatic show, and it's always dramatic. We'll have usually a couple of those cautions sprinkled within Stage 1, a very clean Stage 2, they get it figured out, and then, hey, something always happens in Stage 3, the final stage to the end, that just makes things crazy. I think that is the formula for a great L-TAC Cup Series race, and certainly on stage this evening. So, I gotta say, before we let all y'all go tonight, a big shout out to our partners here at Pit Stop TV, of course, Tucson Sound Art, your picture, your music. Make sure to use promo code PitStopTV at checkout of your wall-mounted Sound Art device today. Talked about it earlier. A driver, actually an admin from another series we covered, once they heard about Tucson Sound Art, they immediately, first of all, fell in love with the concept, and then found the manufacturer's store down in Scottsdale, Arizona. It wasn't the Tucson Sound Art store, unfortunately, but they found the manufacturer's store, and they love the product even more. It's one of those products, I've said it before, I'll say it again, that you don't realize you quite need until you realize you do. It's a wonderful product. Highly recommend looking into it and ordering one, especially when holiday season comes around. It's a great opportunity to get something that's going to mean a whole lot to you, or maybe a family member, a significant other, even just a friend. It is such a cool product. Again, you can take any picture and put it on a canvas around a Bluetooth speaker. It's a wonderful concept. Check them out at TucsonSoundArt.com. A big shout out to Race Pace Setups, as I mentioned towards the top of the show. Hey, the Sebring 12 Hour is happening right now for some drivers, or will be happening in the morning, overnight, and throughout the day tomorrow, March the 27th of 2021. Make sure, if you still need a setup, make sure to check these guys out, specifically in GT3. They're still working on adding to some of their programs, but GT3 is really the bread and butter of what they can help you out with right now at Race Pace Setups. Check them out at that Discord link down at the bottom side, discord.gg/NY, capital X2, QVH, capital SG, and A. Again, wonderful guys here at Race Pace Setups. Wonderful stuff going on. And I cannot more highly recommend this product. In fact, we run these setups at Whiplash Racing. We're running one of them tomorrow in the Lamborghini Huracan. It's going to be, well, from running some laps so far, it's going to be a wonderful race for us, I hope. Of course, other drivers can change that, but the car at least is set up pretty nicely. Permanent makeup and cryo in Maine. Again, as we've said so many times, you deserve the best care that money can buy. Check these guys out. At least give them a like on their Facebook and Instagram. A like, a follow, whatever it may be. Check them out. Again, Permanent Makeup and Cryo in Maine. They support us. You should support them too. They are wonderful people up there in the great state of Maine. Check them out. Ashley Bollier and her entire team of specialists do amazing work up there, and it's certainly worth checking out what they can maybe even do for you. And Whiplash Media, hey, we always talk about Whiplash Media, the official graphics and camera provider of Pit Stop TV. If you want these kinds of broadcast graphics, if you want these kinds of broadcast cameras, come check us out at Whiplash Media. We'll get you hooked up. And hey, that goes more than just broadcasting, be it streaming. If you just want good onboards, hey, the Sebring 12 Hour, it's good to have good car onboards for that, especially if you're maybe stepping away for an hour or so. To have a good camera for that, you will want to check out Whiplash Media. We'll get you hooked up. We'll get you figured out at whiplash-media.com. Joe Donahue, once more, thank you so much for joining me on the mic this evening. It has been a heck of a show here at the Kansas Speedway, but hey, as all great things must do, so it comes to an end this evening. Again, a great show. Definitely always want to thank the L-TAC Cup Series for having us along, Tucson Sound Art for making it happen. A wonderful evening, and Grant Peterson comes out on top. That does conclude our coverage tonight, however, of the L-TAC Cup Series at Kansas Speedway. And Pit Stop TV thanks you so much for tuning in and joining us for tonight's action, and we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast. Thanks for supporting the L-TAC Cup Series. Thanks for supporting Tucson Sound Art. Thanks for supporting these drivers who make it happen. And, of course, a big thank you to all of our men and women overseas, at home, wherever it may be, that serve our wonderful country. Thank you so much for doing so. Again, this was the military-themed race. Hopefully there's a couple of more added to the schedule, because it's always a great day to thank our servicemen and women. The channel stays active weekly. You can catch a variety of racing throughout the coming days. Cross Series League racing will open the new week, taking Pro 2 Lights to Charlotte's Rally Course on Sunday evening. From there, the BRPI Racing Series keeps us at the Charlotte Motor Speedway with the Big Block Modifieds. How about that? Race number 12 of 13 on the season. Points battles are coming to a close. After an extended stay in Concord, North Carolina, however, we ship down to Daytona Beach for the NORC Season 13 opener on Tuesday evening. It's a race that you do not want to miss. So many great personalities put on stage at Daytona. It's going to be a wild show down there in the NASCAR Xfinity cars for NORC Season 13. First time visiting those cars since Season 7, if you can believe that. L-TAC, of course, keeps their 2021 season rolling next Friday, going back up north to Pennsylvania's Pocono Raceway. It's a home show for guys like Trey Shuttlesworth and Joe Donahue. Hopefully they're both on the broadcast next week. We'll see how it all goes. It's certainly going to be a wonderful race of big-time strategies up at the Triangle in Pocono. Make sure to follow us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/pitstoptv, on Twitter at pitstoptv_, on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/pit_stop_TV, and on YouTube at www.youtube.com/c/pitstoptv1. For my entire crew this evening, Joe Donahue on the mic with me, Corey Rexford on social media. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for supporting us, and we'll see you next time. Have a great night.